That's just the way Alan looks every day.
That's my face.
Hello, everybody, and happy Friday. It's the Page Doing Friday conversation. Sorry, we're a couple minutes late. We had to calm a few people down. But just very quickly,
everything is awesome.
Before we get started, I wanted to quickly mention that I wanted to thank all of you for supporting. I did launch my second channel today, and I have 79 subscribers in one day. Thank you so much for that. That's awesome. So thank you for supporting. I was blown away. So just wanted to quickly mention that. But
let's make it 80.
What is the second channel? I'll go subscribe.
Yeah, I was gonna say I need to do that still.
Steve Talks Movies. It's original movies. Took me a while to come up with that.
How will I ever associate that with you, Steve? That's too different.
It is pretty tough, yeah. But we'll work on it. It's a slow process. It'll work out.
There we go. It's 80.
Thank you.
Okay.
Oh wow, you guys are the best.
I'm just subscribed out of principle because I don't watch movies, so I'll just watch you talk about things that I've never heard of before. So.
I used to watch movies when I had a life.
Yeah. Back when I had a life, when I had time.
81 stuff.
Thank you, guys. That's very nice of you. So, Chris, did you want to kick us off with the introductions, please, sir?
My name is Chris Mullen, sometimes YouTuber, whenever I can be bothered to make a movie, sometimes appear on here. And happy Friday, everybody.
And Tori?
Hey guys, I'm Tori. I'm an author and booktuber over at Tori Talks, and I'm really excited to finally get a chance to talk to Steve in person, not in the comments.
Great. Alan, did you want to come next?
I mean, am I frozen? Like, I don't know. I think my internet's bad out here, so everyone's kind of like, no one's mouth is in sync with what they're saying, and so.
Oh, that's perfect.
I feel like y'all are all on Bluetooth in my car. I'm Alan. I have a YouTube channel. I mean, I don't know. Like, I just got home from teaching children, and I told them today, over your threshold of your door, I want y'all to carve, shut up, stop whining. So it's the first thing you see when you leave your house every day, because I'm done with it. And I want you to put it in Greek, and you won't know what it says.
What are you going to do if there's typos?
I mean, they can't spell anything as it is, so I already have to translate.
Just accept it.
So what if they accidentally put, like, shut up, start complaining?
Well, I mean, look, I just asked them today. I'm like, it started because I gave them an easy quiz today that literally the last 2 days I've given them every question on it. I'm like, I asked every question about Roman names I could. I'm like, those are the questions on the test. And then I heard from one of my level 2s that one of the ones was complaining about it. And I said, they can complain about anything. I could give them the answers and say, just copy it onto that. And they'd still witch and moan. That's all they do. Anyway. I'm tired, and I gotta be at the school at 5:30 in the morning because I gotta go to a dumb competition with these kids to have them like, and I know they haven't studied, and then they're gonna make me swear, oh, I'm so sorry that I didn't do well, like, and then they'll cry, and I'll be like, why are you crying? Oh, because I didn't win. I'll be like, well, you didn't win because you didn't look at anything till literally tonight. Like, what do you want from me? Anyway, it'll be fun, I guess.
Just give you more ammunition.
Yeah.
They're good kids. I like them. You know, it'll be fine. Like, my introduction is always too long, so I start complaining about something. I need to write that on mine. Shut up. Stop complaining. No, Andrew.
Yeah. It's your signature though. You have to do your signature intro. So
I can't help it.
That's okay. We still love you. Andrew, congrats on 3K.
Thank you.
Hey.
That's awesome, man. Happy for you.
I'm Andrew of the Wizardly Reads. I have a booktube channel. I eat spicy stuff on camera and make poor life choices. Actually, my mouth is fine. I mostly weathered it pretty okay. It's been an interesting arc of the day, but, you know, that's neither here nor there. I read SFF. That's what I do. And then try and get Alan to, you know, help me make better life decisions. He told me not to do it, and then I said, Alan, I'm going to do it. Qui bono.
Qui bono. To whose good? For whose good is this right here? Yeah, that's right. Cicero said that. Y'all remember? Cicero.
Good question.
Hey, I remembered it. It's been 24 hours. It's stuck.
The quiz is tomorrow.
Yeah, I won't remember it tomorrow, though.
Well,
Sorry,
Taylor?
I promise I'm paying attention. PL's trying to get in and he can't find the link. So I'm trying to get PL in here. But hi guys, I'm Taylor. I am one of Steve's co-hosts for Page Twoing. So you'll see me on these streams on the, I don't know what we've decided to call it, Page Twoing proper, the non-Friday conversation version of it. You'll see me there as well. My YouTube channel is Made Between the Pages. And like most everyone here, I am into SFF. If you can't tell from the shelves behind me. And yeah, glad to be in this company. Good company today.
It's finally
I
good
think
to.
the last time we hung out was on a whiskey.
Yes, that is another group that I run, the Whiskey and Books group. And when we do lives, it's just chaos.
Well, I mean, you've got
If you
Ryan
want
Cahill
chaos.
in there, and Ryan is hyperactive and Irish.
Yeah, and drinking whiskey whenever we hang out as a group. So if
Yeah,
you want
so there's, like,
chaos,
there's
go
booze
check those
involved.
out.
That was the most chaotic stream I have ever seen, especially after an hour had passed and everybody had an hour's worth of whiskey. It was
Oh, it was
fabulous.
good.
It was
Good.
fabulous.
Yeah, I got kicked off my own stream, so that kind of got down in infamy. So
But wants me
That's
to
what
eat the
actually-
damn gummy bear. I'm not doing it right now. Just so I can vomit on camera and have obnoxious gas. No thanks.
also just
Just mute it.
It's fine. You have that power. And also just to support Alan in his introductory rant, I also teach children, and they are monsters.
Yes.
You know, in the best way. So I support the complaints.
I teach adults. You have no idea, honestly.
I don't
'Cause it's
teach
like
anybody.
you teach
Well, I
adults?
teach two
Yeah.
children, but that's about it.
Adults are just old children.
Yeah,
Like it's
but-
the
but they-
same, I imagine.
They also talk about their children's problems as well, so they may as well be in the room at the same time. It's
Oh
fabulous.
my goodness.
That's great.
My children's issue right now is potty training. That's the
Mm.
horror that is my life right now. So many accidents.
I'm sorry, Andrew.
We'll
Why?
keep an eye on smearing on you. If you have to disappear off and you come back, we'll just keep an eye for the telltale signs of smearing.
I mean, I have to disappear. Hopefully, it's just to put one of them to bed,
It's a good excuse.
and then I'll be back.
I think teachers can relate.
Mm-hmm.
There he is.
There he is.
I've
We'll
got
start
that hat. Where is my
We'll start
hat?
again.
Yeah.
My hat's upstairs.
There we go.
Andrew, eat the gummy bear so we can watch Alan judge you again.
You don't
I
need
can't get through the packaging though.
So when my mother is like, "So what do you do on these live streams?" That image, like, I watch my
Important
friend
things.
the cardboard around a nitro gummy bear. Because
It's life changing, Mom. You wouldn't believe it.
it's true.
And Chris, can you confirm or deny, hey, the Irish only get funnier with whiskey? I should know.
Well, I'm doing rum tonight because I got told off last night. So
That's my boy. That's my boy. Rum. That's my boy.
so there is whiskey upstairs. So if I'm not funny enough, we'll just switch halfway through and we'll see if it makes a difference, and you can all judge.
I mean, I can come back with a drink.
You should. This is like Friday
I'm
conversation. That's kind of a
jealous.
must.
Yeah,
Okay.
Taylor can't.
Sorry,
I
Taylor. A
know.
little bit of
You
FOMO
got
there,
one
I'm
in
sure,
the
but
oven. It's not fair.
that's way more
Congratulations,
important.
by the way.
Thank
How
you.
far along are you now?
Thank you. I
Are you
am
second trimester now?
23. Yeah, so 23 weeks, I think.
What is-
second
what's-
trimester?
What's congratulations in Japanese? Is it omerito?
Yep,
Is that correct?
exactly. Omedetou. Arigato. Yeah, it's definitely happy news, but I do wish I could have a drink with y'all. I do have some FOMO.
They're in spirit. They're in spirit.
It's only one of those like recommendations, though, Taylor. Like it's not actually medically proven that it actually does any
Oh,
harm. It's just
yeah.
sort of like
I'm not
you know,
certain that's correct. What you're saying right now.
No, no
not sure
fetal
that's right at
anomalies
all.
associated.
Yeah.
You know, it's totally fine.
Do you trust this man? Do you really trust him to give you advice?
I have no medical license, no medical training. I don't know if I've read a medical article and made it to the end.
Sounds perfect.
Usually, if I look something up on medical, I just make it halfway through. It says you got cancer, and I just log off.
Yeah.
I
the internet
mean,
always thinks
as a
that.
doula, I feel like it's my job to contradict that statement pretty heavily.
Denial is always an appropriate medical response, right, Chris? Denial.
Just have some whiskey, and it'll go away. It'll fix
Yeah,
itself.
there's nothing wrong. It'll go away.
Yeah. If you can't feel it, there's nothing wrong.
Awesome advice.
No?
And Tori, you're a doula? That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Tori,
Yeah, I
what
learned
don't you
that today
do?
as well.
What
And
Andrew,
Tori-
you're a doula as well?
7 babies.
What don't you do? You write, you're a podcaster, you do, like, what don't you do?
Oh, is that a midwife?
No. I am like, basically the way I describe it to people is I am the emotional support professional for the moms. So like I'm there to make sure she's eating and drinking. I'm there to help her with breathing and relaxation measures and that kind of stuff. Help the dad remember to eat and drink because that I had a dad almost pass out on me once. That was fun. So yeah, it's my job to like just make sure everybody's in the best space possible.
I made a really bad joke to Tori earlier. I thought it was hilarious. I said,
totally.
yeah, I said, what don't you doula? And she didn't get it because she's the booktuber, the writer, the anyway.
Yeah.
That was pretty good. I like that. That was
Dad's passed out sometimes. I actually never passed out with all of the births of my kids. It's just one of those things I was just so fascinated by.
Yeah.
I
I
guess
cut both
kind
the
of,
cords.
yeah. There you go, boy. Yeah,
That is
a
an
lot of
odd
cords.
sensation. It is like a rubber band.
Yes, it
Listen,
is.
okay.
Rubber
No.
tubing.
Listen. You need to listen to what I'm saying right now. There is no way on earth a doctor is going to be like, hey, would you like to cut this weird cord attached to this freaky thing that has just emerged from a person? I'm going to say, no, that is your job. I did not go to medical school. You get paid to cut that. You cut it. Do not hand it to me. I will throw up all over you, sir. Don't do it.
It
Oh
was
my
pretty
gosh,
simple.
why do people do that? Why does anyone want to do that? Oh my gosh, it freaks me out so much. I'm going to throw up right here.
It's
Sorry.
pretty cool, Alan. But Alan, I got to tell you though, the afterbirth is actually a freaky thing. The
Stop!
cord is like nothing.
It's pretty cool actually. I know I'm
It
weird.
looks like an alien.
we ran poor Alan away.
Oh no.
Oh no, I'm sorry, Alan. Come back.
Alan, come back.
It is
sorry.
worth saying though that
Come
that
back.
childbirth, the myth of childbirth is that it's a wonderful like religious experience. It is the exact opposite of that. I haven't been in the room a couple of times.
I have agreed if we ever have children, I will. Do you have to comment? Are you commenting on this?
No, I can borrow your phone.
Okay, bye.
Hi, Christina.
Hi. Very personal conversation.
I didn't start it.
Yeah, we're talking about afterbirth right now, so yeah,
Oh,
it's kind
I
of.
heard. I'm in the room next door.
I have agreed because I couldn't get. I don't want to be in there. I can't get by with that. So I have agreed to stand up by the head and maybe sit in a chair.
Alan's in like another state. He's like, you got this.
Guys, like it's not like I have a very weak stomach. Like I do not have a strong stomach. Blood I can handle. I work dialysis. People bleed all the time. Like, oh no, look at that pool of blood. Someone call a doctor. That's fine. But like I have a very weak stomach for anything dealing with the human body, period. Like it all grosses me out. I don't want to think about it. Like it's just gross. Gross. And I can't help it. So I can't help. So, and I also
I'll
can't
tell
help
you
it.
some stories sometime, Alan.
No. Why does ever? I don't think you guys are understanding what I'm saying because you all keep offering to do the opposite of what I want you to do, which is not.
He wants us to sit here and shut up.
I do not want any stories about any nasty, gross bodily function things.
You guys are really selling this process I'm gonna go through in a couple
Taylor,
months.
we'll
Like,
talk
I'm
later.
so
Well, it's
ready.
easy for us to say.
You want to know what makes it worse, Taylor? When my wife was giving birth to the first one, the stirrup broke. The table stirrup broke, and they're like,
Stirrup,
"We
yeah.
need to hold her leg
Yeah, that's not
while
good.
she pushes." And so I'm sitting there holding the leg.
Taylor, it's easy for a man to talk. I just show up and I do my thing, but it's it's the mother that goes through everything. I mean,
For sure.
I've had the fun and okay, I'm just there and I'm enjoying myself. I'm just trying to support her, but the women have
the
the tough
frustrating
parts.
thing here is they still have like COVID restrictions, so Hayato actually can't be in there. So I'm gonna be by myself, trying to make sure I can understand all the Japanese that the Japanese midwife is saying while I'm in excruciating pain. That's gonna
I
be
wish we still had COVID
top
restrictions.
notch.
Well, I'm sure it's gonna be great though. I'm sure it's gonna be great. Having
It'll be
seen a
fine.
whole film come out, it's an experience that I wouldn't trade for the world. I wouldn't. trade for the world.
It'll change your life in all the
You
best
kick
ways.
somebody
but-
in the face though if they
Yeah.
say the words episiotomy to you.
Oh yes, yes.
This is a book conversation. This is a conversation. There's a live stream about people who talk about books.
I'm just about to say, welcome to the Friday
Chris.
conversation.
At no time did Steve be like, on the docket, childbirth.
Fun. What's everybody reading?
We tend to go off on tangents on Friday conversation. It happens, Alan. Sometimes we get a little bit carried away, got off track, and
It can't be a tangent if it started with that. That's the chosen route.
Oh Lord.
I think Tori should be the person that Taylor should go to discuss this. I think she's the best
Taylor,
resource.
we will talk because my children's births were like my favorite memories of my entire life. So they don't know what I'm talking about.
I already know that. I'm letting them go, but I'll talk about it later. So.
Sounds good.
What's everybody reading?
I just finished a book yesterday. I will not name names because it was not my favorite, and that's just not. This is not the space for that. So I'm trying to come off of that book. So I think The Last of the Atalanteans, PL's book, actually is going to be what I pick up. We're about to go on a little mini vacation, so taking it with me.
I read the first. I looked at the preview of your book and I saw it was written in first person and it pleased me greatly. I really like it. I really like I don't know. Like I've read too many third person limited books like recently. So I'm reading Shogun and I'm enjoying. I was like, third person omniscient? Where did that go? Y'all remember third person omniscient? It vanished like boy bands. Like no one does it anymore. And so like I really liked it. And then, I like first person. Like I'm not gonna lie. And anyway, I saw it and was happy. That's irrelevant. That's neither here nor there. But
can we get a little insight? You may not be able to tell us, but because I know it's confidential. But because Alan, congrats you. I know you're narrating the audio narrator for Philip Chase's.
Book?
Yeah, so that's awesome. Congrats. Is there a little bit of Can you tell us? Is that like legal or something? Can you tell us if there is some
about it?
What perspective it's written from? Is there some first person?
Oh, I haven't read it yet. It is third person. It is third person. I haven't read it yet. He sent it to me. He's not done. Like it's in vellum, so it's not done being put into vellum. So when it's done, he's going to send it to me. And so
What
I'll
is
just take
vellum?
notes. It's the self-published
program, right?
It's a formatting tool.
Yeah, it's a formatting
put
program.
everything in before you publish.
So when that's done, he'll send it to me. But it is in third person, and it's how many? It's like how many POVs? He told me. I wrote, and I did write it down, but my notebook's in there. I did write it down.
Alan failed his own pop quiz.
The first book is 160,000 words. So that's like
that's not big.
600 pages. No, it's not. But the second one is freaking 200,000 words, and the third one's 240,000 words. I'm like, Philip, what are you doing to me? Like, what are you doing to me here? Like, he's like the crack dealer, like luring me in with this real short, like a short book. Oh, but then the next one's longer, and the next one's even longer.
But hey,
as long as you get paid by the word, it's cool, right?
You can quit teaching and then just go straight into audiobook narration.
There you go, bro. You get paid by the word, man.
I
become Travis Baldry.
I
Steal
think
his life.
I think you think audiobook people make more money than they do. So Philip's not paying me $40,000 a year to do his book. Like that's not
yet. When he blows up.
I watched a live stream Travis Baldry was on. Now, granted, Travis Baldry is one of the biggest in the business, but he does like three books a week or something like that. And I think it was on Pace Chewing. I think it was the Pace Chewing conversation that I'm talking about.
Okay.
Yeah, like 3 a week.
I've done 0 so far. So
you gotta start somewhere.
Part of my conversation, if it takes off and goes really well.
I mean, maybe, but is Baldry, is he English or British?
No, he's American.
Oh, okay. Well, because I told Philip, I'm like, Philip, like I'm starting at a disadvantage because I'm not British. Like, I prefer listening to British narrators. So it's like, okay, I told him I'll do the best I can. So I'm hoping it's good, but I'm telling everybody, lower your expectations.
You're going to be awesome.
Don't. On here, raise your expectations because it's going to be amazing for Philip. But for me,
No, you're going to be awesome. You're
It's gonna be great.
The uncut
I can't
version,
wait to put you on 1.5 speed, Alan.
The uncut version of that recording is going to be me being like, I'm going to read it and be like, what does that even mean, Philip? Like, what am I even saying?
Yeah, he's a professor.
You need to release that as like a second tier or something.
Okay, here's the thing. Record some of the audiobook, like record you doing it, and then like post shorts.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that'd be good.
I'll have to get permission from Philip. But because it's going to be like, oh my gosh, and here they stand around looking at their belly button for 3 pages. And then go back or whatever. They're like, oh my gosh, like you'll be able to hear my eyes roll. Like, I'm just kidding. I'm sure it's amazing. I am the worst employee ever. I'm on this stream, like ragging on Philip's manuscript. I haven't even read.
Call him a drug dealer. Yeah.
I bet he did tell me about his villain, which excites me, and gave me kind of, because I said, Philip, I am generally pretty decent at mimicking things if I listen to it like a lot. And so if there's like anything, any like person or like kind of voice that you have had in your head for a specific character, please let me know, and I will go like listen to that crap on repeat and try to do, a facsimile of that. And he gave me one for the bad guy, which I really like. I'm like, Philip, guess what? I already do that guy's voice because I loved this movie that this dude was in when I was a kid. So I'm letting you know, Philip, I already practiced that one. So I was very excited about that.
Do you plan on putting Posh Allen in the book?
I mean, no. No, I'm going to read the whole thing like I'm going to be the way of a Dan was a way that you really went away to become and follow the one true Dan.
You gotta practice that British accent though, Alan. Like, and by the way, my audiobook narrator, I have 2 voice actors for my book, but he's British, so there you go.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
when is the audio for Last of the Atlanteans coming up, PL?
It'll be a bit. I got a lot of, I'm trying to get book 3 out and get book 4 going, so it's gonna be a bit. But I want to get the series going pretty well near the end, and then I'll go back and start doing. I think the key is having the first book having the audiobook as that gateway, and then go from there.
PL, how long is that first book? I forgot to look. How long is it?
It's about 160,000 words ish too.
So less than 600 pages.
Oh, thank you, Tori.
Oh
yeah, it comes out to be about 400-ish on the paperback.
What a reasonably sized book.
Well, you know how fantasy works. Yeah, fantasy always gets bigger, so you're just... Sorry,
I did the same Philip thing. The next one's about 200,000 words, and then this one I'm writing now. I know, but Taylor just said it. That's how it goes, right?
More characters, more stakes.
Yeah, people are always trying to get me to read series. They're like, hey, you should read this. I'm like, how long's the first book? 900 pages. No is the answer.
Hey, have you seen We Break Immortals by Thomas Hart Riley? Like that thing is like that could slay dragons. That thing is
too long. It's too long. It makes me so sad.
It's a great book.
If Alan's gonna read a brick, he needs to read
Oh
Dragon.
yeah, and Dragon Age is also
Why is that book so long?
Autistic representation at its best.
Amazing book. Loved it. Great book.
I like how this BookTube beef's been going around that everybody was doing too many things with Alan or with Philip and leaving Alan out of it. And like plot twist.
He showed you. Yeah.
I did. That was my secret thing. Really, I'm trying to work for him so he won't abandon me since he's 20K now. So really, I'm just trying to make sure that I can still have a job. after he's hit 20K because he's ignored everybody else. He's turned his back on everybody else. He's too big time now. And plus he's got a trilogy coming out. So he's way too important for the plebs. He's moved up to the Palatine Hill now, bought himself a brand new mansion. So everybody out there over in the fields right outside, sorry, you've been abandoned from the campus marshes. We're gone to the Palatine.
I mean, Jimmy still talks to you.
Do what?
Jimmy still talks to you, Alan. He's over 10K now?
Yeah, but that's because it gives him cred for having his poor plebeian friend.
Which reminds me, big congrats to Tori, Andrew, and Steve for all the benchmarks, milestones. Taylor, you two, that everybody's getting to, coming up on.
Yay.
So congrats, great stuff.
Sure.
More to come. So, and Steve, congrats on the new channel. Amazing stuff, buddy. Steve
thank you for that.
Talks movies. Wow.
Plot twist.
What's the first movie you're
DLs
talking
and subscribed.
Sorry?
What's the first movie you're going to talk about, Steve?
Sorry, go ahead.
The first movie was Mad God that I did review for.
What movie is that?
It is a stop motion movie made by Phil Tippett. It took 30 years to make.
Ooh, silent? No talking?
No dialogue.
Oh wow. Okay.
I watched the first 20 minutes of it earlier on. It's something.
It gets even more something as you go. Yeah, it is something.
That sounds pretty obscure.
Yeah. It's kind of my style.
Cool movie,
we have noticed. Yeah.
PL, do you even know Steve? Obscure is his realm.
That's my
True.
thing.
No, true. Is it? So it must be horror. It must be horror then.
Yeah, it's horror.
Yeah. Okay. I got you. I'll check it out. I'll check out your video. I can't promise to check out the movie, but I'll check out the video.
That's what I said, PL. I was like, I'll watch you talk about stuff. I don't know.
I hear you, Taylor. I'm like, ooh, I don't know.
It's only an 8-minute investment, so you can watch the video and then skip the movie if you want to. Our friend Joe is here. Joe, GCM Bird.
Oh, Joe Bird. Big time author.
It's not real until you're drinking tequila and doing whipped cream shots.
Ooh, okay. Joe, we're gonna go drinking. We're gonna go drinking, buddy.
It's quite the time last week.
Those covers are phenomenal.
They are.
I just want to get the covers and stare at it.
Andrew, I got it.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but now I know. I want to know where my copy is.
Alley-oop.
All right, I'm moving, so I'm in the middle. Like Andrew, I'll have the next podcast I do. I'll have my shelf in the background.
Nice.
Got my new shelf, so yeah, I'm really stoked. I get so much fun watching you guys with your shelves, right? So I will be sporting my new shelf.
I'm planning on
I'm excited
getting some shelf lighting to kind of up my shelf game here in a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of have this
expensive.
Yeah.
Yes.
I have this thing, and Andrew has a shelf organized by who could be on stream, so that he can just always lift the book beside him.
Well, so this is my self pub. Self pub's here and self pub is here, and then special editions, paperbacks, hardcovers, and trad.
Wow. How big shelves do you have?
Whenever I want to offend Alan, I can just pull out Sandlin right there and say mean things about it, even though it's not true.
What? I don't understand what you're saying.
Literally, if I just want to trigger you, I'll just pull out Sandlin and just start saying untrue things about it.
I think y'all think that I have more stock in the books that I like than I do.
I think
it's not going to upset me if you badmouth Sandlin. Bunches of people badmouth Sandlin. You'll have to badmouth something that it can happen, as we've all seen. But Sandlin, no one likes Sandlin. It's weird. So
okay, what would it be, Alan?
Do what?
I don't like.
What would it be, Alan? What would we badmouth to get you off, set you off?
I'm not going. I'm not going to talk.
Hold on, I get a pen.
It'd probably be City Watch.
It actually happened earlier this week. I actually got mad at I don't care what people think about books, but I actually got mad this week, and I said, you know what? I'm not even gonna respond. I'm not even going to react to any of this. I'm erasing it. It doesn't exist in my brain. It didn't happen. I'm rewriting reality, and I'm moving on because I was I'm actually mad right now, as opposed to fake mad, which is most of my life is fake indignation, or real indignation, but it's not the same as being mad. Anyway.
Alan, I just realized, are you wearing a Bridge Burners t-shirt?
Yeah, I got it.
Malazan.
I got
That
it
is
today.
awesome.
Malazan. That's cool. That's
Got it
cool
today.
stuff.
Yeah, I was excited. Rather than I wear a school T-shirt every day. My students make fun of me because I only wear like school T-shirts now, and I'm just like, well, I have one I can wear every day. They're like, you only have 5 shirts? I'm like, no, but I'm not wearing my one-piece shirt to school.
Malazan,
Yeah,
you're the cool teacher, man.
the kids don't get the actual clothes. Absolutely not. I once saw my
show
kids
up in, like,
outside
a
of
loopy
school.
onesie.
They were so confused.
Yeah. They don't
Right,
understand.
I gotta pick up the next book. I'm only 3 books in, so I got a long way to go. So, Steve, did you guys keep going on? Where are you guys on your? Sorry,
We are discussing part 1 or book 1 of Midnight Tides tomorrow.
Oh, okay. So you guys
We're
are
taking it really slow. Yeah,
I might even catch up to you, man.
you will. Yeah, you will. I have to take this series slow because that's a lot. So
I love Midnight Tides.
It's the first part is so fun. It's a good time with it.
I like it.
In case
Wonderful K.
I think I'm the only one who answered what I was currently reading. What are you guys reading?
I just finished The True Bastards by Jonathan French. By the way, shout out to Jonathan French. He's out there because he kind of not really on social media anymore. Doesn't have a author's website. So, hopefully he is okay. And Jonathan's a great guy. So saying what's up, Jonathan, if for some reason you're watching, and love the book and can't wait to finish the series. The last book, The Free Bastards, won the Kirkus Star. So I can't wait to get to it. Sounds like
Did it really?
Yeah, it did. So yeah,
It never
that
got
series
better
is
than book 1 for me.
really.
Oh, I love book 1.
Yeah, book 1 was amazing.
But that's because it was Jackal. I liked Jackal, I think.
So you didn't like book 2, Andrew?
Book 2 was fetch, and I don't know, the themes in it didn't resonate with me as well. I didn't really have as much point of reference, and so I couldn't connect with it as much.
Yeah. I actually liked it. I can't wait to get book 3, but I probably won't get to that till next year with all this stuff I got in front of me. So, yeah, that's what I'm reading. And I'm also reading. Sorry?
I'll be interested to hear your thoughts on it.
Yeah. I'm also reading an arc. I was lucky to get an arc of Adriel Sin by Daniel Jackson. Billboard book 2. Oh my gosh, that is amazing. It is amazing.
It is
Daniel Jackson.
Serious hype. Yeah.
That is he can he character work, Taylor. Right in your wheelhouse, my dear.
Illborn has been on my TBR for a sad amount of time.
Yeah.
I really need to get to it.
It is a chonker that reads like a 300-page book. It reads it's awesome. It's awesome. So that's what I'm between that and SBFBO reads like Taylor, I'm sure, who we have to remain nameless on some of those books because but
yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I've read 6 of the 10 finalists thus far. I got 4 more to go. Trying to fit those in between, but I can't talk about them. So it's like, as a booktuber, I need to fit books I can talk about in between those. Otherwise, my wrap up will just be like, I read books I can't tell you about. It was a good month.
Have you read
The end.
Cruel Gods yet? Did you make it to Cruel Gods yet?
Cruel Gods, yeah, I read that. That was in our slush pile in the beginning. So it ended up being our finalist. So
that was my 2022
torn
book of the
between
year.
2 books.
Good.
It was really good.
So good.
Yeah,
Oh.
it was. My review's out there now, so I could talk about it. It wasn't my favorite, but I can see why people really like it. It was one of those things where I could tell where it wasn't jiving with me, but I can understand why everyone likes it. And clearly, our group really liked it because it's our finalists. So
I probably just finished my 2023 book of the year.
I have heard that so much this week. Like everybody.
In January.
Oh, I see.
Enjoyed and vibed with a book this much in like 2 to 3 years.
Ooh, I see Jenny Wirt speaking out there. I see Jenny. Yeah, baby. Yeah.
Storm Warden. I just finished Storm Warden, and oh my god, is that book perfection? I loved it so much, and it's got an abysmal rating on Goodreads, and it makes me so angry.
You got to read everything by Jenny Wirtz. Seriously.
I'm just now getting started.
She is my favorite author, and by far, wow.
And then Up on Deck, I'm about 50% into Call of the Bone Ships, and I'm starting something by PL's friend.
Oh, Christian Cameron. Yes.
That was my
The
Patreon pick
man, the
for this
legend.
month, so I got to get on it.
The most interesting man in the world, contrary to the Saki's commercial. That's
Christian Cameron is the reason I would be afraid to write historical fiction, because he knows everything about every single piece of ancient equipment that was ever used. And so, like, I'd be like, oh yeah, and then these hoplites took their hoplon, and it was, well, actually, like, I mean, I know he wouldn't say that, but it's like, that guy knows. Like, I guess I should know. I could never do it.
I gotta say that guy. I went to his house, my wife and I, for a barbecue.
That's awesome.
With his friends, and that man has wrist of steel. He's holding out. We're playing the back, playing with swords.
That's awesome.
And he's holding out a sword.
Yeah.
Probably weighs about 30 pounds. Like you'd hold out like a candlestick.
Yeah.
Like the man is.
I watch his combat videos. His combat videos are really, really good.
He is in good shape, and really good shape. Like
for sure.
Yeah. Great guy. Amazing guy.
I have never read Janny Words, so I cannot comment on Andrew.
You're missing out, bro.
So good.
Okay.
You're missing out.
I'm just gonna mention April.
What about April?
We're starting Wars of Blood and Shadow, and
if it wasn't 800 pages,
I can't do it in April, man. I'm starting Swan Song in April.
Oh yeah, that's.
I would love to read Curse of Light and Shadow, but it's so long. Like, I don't understand why everything has to be so long. And the problem is, people like Andrew don't have a problem, because Andrew's just like, oh, I'm sorry. Tori's like, oh, I finished Shogun. I started it yesterday. Like, I can read 30
Alan, I
pages
only
an
read
hour.
the prologue.
That's because you haven't sat down to read it. Start reading it. I can read 30 pages an hour. That's what I can read. 30 pages an hour. Takes forever to get through.
I think I've gotten slower as I've gotten older.
100 books a month? I can't even punctuate it by drinking a cup of coffee. It's out. Dang it.
Sorry, what you reading? What you reading, Tori?
13.
I'm reading. I'm reading Shogun right now, but I'm also reading Assassin of Grins and Secrets by K.E. Andrews. I have like that much left. And it's been kind of nice because I read so much in November and December, and in January I've slowed down a little bit. And especially with this one, I'm like slowing down and just appreciating all of the details that she's putting in it. And it's been kind of nice to just slow down a little bit. I was kind of hoping to still get to Gardens of the Moon and Rise of the Ranger before the end of January, plus finish part 1 of Shogun. I don't think all 3 of those are going to happen, but we'll see.
By the end of January?
Yeah, that's not going to happen. No, Gardens might happen by the end of January, though.
Did you just go summon Christina for tea so you could be irate and have something to...
I asked my wife if she would get me a cup of coffee because I can't walk, Andrew. So I can't get in there and get it myself.
Oh, sure. Use the wheelchair excuse.
I would love to get out of this freaking chair and walk in there and get my own bleeding coffee. I would love that. I have to ask for everything because the problem is I'm also in a sunroom, so there's a step up, so I can't actually wheel in there myself. Like, I have to have my wheelchair brought into this room, and then I use my walker to hop out, and then I have to have my wheelchair brought out. It's a pain. But 2 more weeks, and I get an X-ray, and that man, so help me, if that man tells me I cannot walk. It is his fault if that bone is not healed yet.
Are you just drinking tons of milk?
I mean, no, I keep forgetting.
I love you so much.
Oh, shut up. I can't.
It's the best response.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I do the same thing at the same time and consume the same thing every day. Milk is not really in my, like, I drink milk every now and then, but like not usually when I usually drink milk when I'm eating something that, like, I don't know, that like something spicy. and I just haven't. So I forget to drink milk, even though I should be drinking milk all the time. I'm taking my vitamin D, which they also told me is good. So I do take that every day, but only because it's in an old person pill thing that says Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. But half the time I'll take it out of the freaking wrong day, and then I'll go back to check to see if I took it, and I'm like, why is it still there? I swear I took it, but I really took it out on Mondays, and it's Thursday because I need more structure in my life, really.
More structure than a pill box. That's something.
Yeah, I don't know if we get more structure than a
That's
pill
top,
box.
top tier.
Yeah.
We did have
At
a
least
comment
it's not
from
neon green. It's at least like, I don't know. My grandma had a neon green one, so she could find it in the dark.
that's the only thing. As long as
Glow
it's
in the
not green,
dark.
you're fine. Yeah, it doesn't count as We did have a comment from our friend Drew, because he's the one who actually mentioned you in our thread on the forum about narrating Jenny's books.
So
blame Drew. Yeah.
Do you know how awesome that would be if I narrated Janny Wirtz's books? That would be amazing. But I don't have an audio sample. Why? Because I've never narrated anything before. Now I have all of the equipment. All of my equipment is being shipped to because I can't record the crap I have. So I'm getting all my equipment so I can actually record something, because if I'm gonna do it, I might as well do as good a job as possible. So hopefully eventually I will have something that can be heard. I mean, that'd be awesome. But I mean, I'm not going to go and be like, hi, so I've never done this. You are a prolific author. What if what if you let me read your books into a microphone? I don't want people
You
to
know
be
what,
mean to
Alan,
me.
though?
Yeah.
You're describing how page tuning started. We're just like, hey,
Exactly.
you don't know us. You want to talk to us?
Yeah.
We love you.
I don't like people being mean to me, so I'm afraid to ask.
Jenny would never. You know what, Alan? Seriously, if you DM'd her, I would encourage you to do so if you're interested. She is one of the
Jenny is
most
very responsive.
I
on
don't
social
know
media.
her, and I haven't read her
She's
books.
amazing. We know her. I know her really well.
But I haven't read her books, and I just yelled about how long it was.
I think she'd forgive you. So I encourage you to DM. If you want me to ask her, I will. Or you just DM her yourself. She's great.
Start with forgiveness. She has to forgive you first, and
Just
then you'll
That's
be
a
allowed
great
to
show.
talk to her.
The opening message goes, I need you to forgive me. She's like, who are
Yeah.
you? Forgiveness first.
Just tell her, don't watch this episode of Page Tuning Friday Conversations, Jenny. Just ignore it.
Opening
And
salvo
then-
says something sorry, Jan, I will read your books if you let me narrate them.
Well, then I'm going to go hunt down KJ Parker, who no one reads. And part of the reason no one reads him, he don't have any audiobooks except for freaking How to 16 Ways to Defend a Wall City. Nothing else of his. I have read every single novella that this man has written, and every single 5 standalone novels, does not have one of them on audio. I'm going to be like, dude, I am the only person that likes your books. Please let me read them. I love your books so much. Please, no one likes your books better than me.
I don't know. You might have to arm wrestle Zara from Books.
No,
Zara. She's
I
a big.
read it first and showed it to Zara.
The KJ hipster.
I'm
You heard it here first.
I'm the original Pope of the Church of Parker. She's Cardinal Zara.
Has she done the interview yet?
But she's British. Dang it.
Uh,
Well, no, there's barely any female characters in Parker's work, so sorry, Zara.
we've had Zara on
Has she
Page
done the
Tuning.
interview with him yet?
We've had Zara
No.
Page Chewing. Zara and Angie. Zara and Angie. That was early on.
She hasn't, but I told her when she goes to interview him, ask him if he please has a map somewhere, because every single one of his books takes place in the same world, but this man refuses to draw a map. He mentions the exact same places all the time, but and he does it on purpose. So I can't actually I've kind of figured it out from reading so many. I'm like, okay, I know the Vasani Empire is here, and I know it's far away from Permia, but please draw a map. Please, just me. I won't even show it to anybody. Just let me see the napkin scribble. He can just draw circles if he wants. Please. I asked her to ask him to please draw a map, on a napkin, just so I can see where things are.
Yeah, we need maps. I love maps. I can't do without maps.
And the
in
map
fantasy
game
books.
in books, fantasy books, the map game is being stepped up.
It's
I have seen so many good map. That's
one of my new favorite things is when it's the end papers. I adore that because then I don't have to flip to any specific page. I just go to the end papers and look at it.
For sure.
Yes.
And our friend Jacob is here. Question I wanted to ask you, Alan, is where did you get that shirt?
I went to Redbubble and I typed in Malazan and a bunch of merch came up. And I liked this one the best, so I bought it. It's that simple. I like this design, the design that looks like it's like a t-shirt from like an actual like store, because then I can wear it in public without people going nerd, like with my chibi Luffy and chibi Zoro, or the Persona 4 characters that is very obviously like, look at my anime and JRPG shirt. This is, I know how people shout at me, throw rocks.
It's subtle.
Throw rocks.
Subtle, right?
Yeah.
I was gonna say that was awesome. One time I was on one of those call center helplines where they say, "And what's your password?" and you give your password, and somebody paused at the other end and went, "Is that a Babylon 5 reference?" I was like, "Yes."
That's awesome.
That's awesome. I was like that the one time everybody else just assumes it's a random assortment of letters and whatever. Yeah, it's good.
Kosh was my favorite. I always loved Kosh.
Yeah, cool.
And Tori, you mentioned you were trying to slow down. What made you do that, to try and not read as fast? Would that be fair to say?
Yeah, I feel like as a booktuber, I kind of sometimes get caught up in the constantly grinding to make content, and it's a tough balance, I think, because I want the channel itself is an art form, but reading itself is a completely separate thing. And then those two things overlap, and suddenly the reading becomes dependent on the channel to some degree. And I think I really enjoyed a lot of the stuff that I read in November and December, but I kind of got to the point where I felt like I was just rushing to the next book. Mm-hmm. And so in January, especially the second half, I've just kind of been like, you know what? I'm not going to get caught up in fear of missing out is a big deal on BookTube too. And everybody's doing the read alongs. Like, it's killing me that everyone is reading Malazan right now and I haven't started yet. So yeah, I'm just trying to kind of zen about that a little bit more. And especially because I had to get real of, if I want my book to come out this year, I have to let go of some reading. Like I can't spend all of the free time reading, because then my book will never come out. So I'm trying to be better about time management.
If it makes you feel better, I'm not reading Malazan either. I'm part of the out group there. So maybe you and I can pick it up when we have time.
Yes.
They all talk about Malazan. They're like, compassion. I'm like, great.
Yep. Thank you, Taylor. Taylor, thank you. That is the only thing anybody will freaking say when they talk about Malazan. Yes, okay. There's one part in book 3, and then they say the word compassion relentlessly from book 8 on, and it's like, I get it, but like everywhere else, y'all are retroactively, y'all are retrofitting stuff here, why can't people talk about the other stuff? There's other stuff in these books besides all anybody wants to talk about is theme. So there's not actually any people or any events doing anything. It's all it's compassion. I'm like, yeah, but what about this awesome battle that's happening right here? What if we talked about how awesome that is? And
also, Erickson writes a battle aftermath.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I love it. I love Erickson. But I love Erickson, but I tend to like different things from Malazan than most of the fans. There's 3 of us who don't like Toll the Hounds. 3 of us. Me, Ruth, and Bad, and then who didn't like it yesterday? Someone said they didn't like it yesterday, and I forgot.
Was it Mike? It might have been Mike.
Maybe
Mike.
I think it was Mike. But I want to pick up on what Tori said too, because we're kind of in the same boat, Tori and I. You're blogging and you're writing, right? And I'll be frank, I'm not complaining. It's a lot. And I love blogging. And Tori, I don't know how you feel. I think I'm better at both by doing the other, but at the same time, it's a lot. So Tori, how do you juggle? I know for me, what I've done recently is that, because I only write a book a year. that's why I have a full-time job. I am very busy with all kinds of other stuff. So but my blogging takes up probably, if I put down hours, it probably takes up more time than writing.
Yeah.
So how do you navigate that?
ADD. Honestly, I think I've kind of been doing a lot of that, just reprioritizing, because when I came back to BookTube last summer, I was not honestly anticipating growing at the rate that I have, which has been amazing, and I'm super grateful for it. But I also want to make sure then that I'm continuing that momentum and producing content that the people that are following my channel will like and appreciate. And my favorite thing to do is spotlighting authors. And so I love being able to do the interviews and do like imposter syndrome and start kind of opening up some of those doors. But it's been hard to try to figure out that balance. And I think that's something that's a constant learning curve. And I don't think I'll ever get to a point where I'm like, all right, everything's great, just because being a full-time mom, writing a book, as anybody with a BookTube channel knows, it can be a full-time job really quickly with all the social media that goes into it and the video editing and the filming the videos and reading the books to go in the videos. And so, yeah, I think I'm trying to let go of the good to get to the great, which sounds like a very self-helpy kind of thing, but like I'm not doing 3 videos a week anymore. And that was really hard for me to let go of. That was really hard because I was, so focused on that for like 4 months. And then I was like, all right, but you should do like 1 for a while. And then you can do more. Like, you kind of have to pep talk yourself. Like, you can do it again. It'll be fine. So yeah. And just prioritizing, like it's not a guilty pleasure for me to write my book. And that was something that I also had to talk myself out of. Like, I'm not being a horrible mother if I'm taking time away from my kids to write my book. I'm not, I want them to see me pursuing arts and things that I'm passionate about because I want them to do the same. So it's kind of talking yourself out of all this imposter syndrome things that happen. Like, oh, if I don't put out 3 videos a week, I'm going to lose all my subscribers, which isn't true. But, there's a lot of things to just move past.
I have to I teach, and then it is so easy to be a bad teacher. You just go and you hand them crap and you sit behind your desk and you just give them whatever you want. And then you put on your phone and your computer. It's really easy. And you get the summers off because bad teachers aren't working during the summer. But come home and I have to freaking grade crap or write lessons. And I have a wife I want to hang out with, and I like video games, and I read slowly, and this is the frustrating part. If I read faster, I'd be all right, but I read slowly. So anything else I do is giving up reading time. But if I read, a lot of times I want to do sprints because I like community building. Community building, but community building takes time away from reading. And so I try to find the balance between talking to people so that, because if you're just reading and putting out videos and you don't interact with anybody, cool story. Okay, but that's not what I want to do. You know what I mean? And it's frustrating. It's sometimes it's frustrating because you do have imposter syndrome. I didn't get a video out this week because my computer is kaput and in the shop, and the dude is having trouble getting the data from it. So I got 6 recorded videos on there that are unedited. And I will put this pencil right through my eyeball. So
that's because, and it's not saying we're the greatest things to sliced bread, but this is how bad it got. Okay. So actually, was it Tori? I think Tori put out a tweet about who's your favorite bloggers. And everybody here was on that. At some point, people mentioned all of us, Chris, Steve, Taylor, Alan, Tori, Andrew, myself, and it was like, oh shit. Well, and the first thing I thought was oh man, I haven't done this. I'm behind my reviews, and I suck, and and it's I talked with Tori, hitting the nail on the head with imposter syndrome. I'm thinking, how could I make that list? I haven't done this. I need to do this, and I don't have a YouTube channel. I'm just a person who blogs. I prefer to go blog. I put up the reads for you folks that have a YouTube channel, like I remember a friend of mine, I'm not trying to embarrass Taylor, but a friend of mine saying, "Oh my God, Taylor's so amazing, and her Japan blogs and this and that. We should put in another one. Like, do you know what?" I'm like,
I love the Japan.
I'm like, to be honest with you, I wouldn't bother. First of all, right now she's pregnant and she's got her hands full. So but that's what, like, behind the scenes, we're all like saying, "Oh my God, I haven't done this, and I haven't done this, and I haven't done this, and I haven't." But you're saying, "Oh, you put me on this list of top bloggers," and I'm like, "No, don't. I don't need the pressure."
Sometimes it takes forever for me to edit a video. And so that's another thing. It's like, if I want to read or community build, then I can't edit, which takes bleeding forever. And then I put the video up and I got people that comment and said, can you please break it into chapters? Like, could you please put and I'm like, no, because here's what you want. You want me to do more work than I already did, so you can watch less of the video. If you want to see which books I'm holding up, scrub through it. Grab the freaking thing and just use your mouse and scrub through it. I'm not going to provide you the little links. I'm not going to do it. Some people do. I don't have time because it takes me so long to edit a video because I'm so bad at it, and I refuse to I'm also super I don't know, anal about it. I'm just like, I don't know.
I'm the same.
It's OCD.
Yeah, I have to cut out all the ums and the uhs, and it takes a long time. And I love making those vlogs. I'm glad PL brought up vlogs because I love making them, but those are the ones that take me forever.
Yes,
because I'm anal about it. So the transitions have to be right, the timing has to be right, the music has to be right. And it's so much harder to edit than a sit-down video behind the scenes. And then, as PL mentioned, I'm not going as many places because of reasons, So I'm really, really glad that people like those. And I like the end result. I really like having them there. But they take me a long time. So
people go crazy. People ask me all the time about your vlogs, Taylor. Like, someone was like, "Oh my God, her Japan vlog. Oh, she did the tattoo one." And people were losing their minds. And I'm like, she's got a lot going on, right? So,
well, I'm glad there's hype. I didn't know there was any hype. That actually makes me feel better. That's good. But unfortunately, guys, as always, I got to cut out. I got to go to work. So this was lovely.
Enjoy.
Thank you, Taylor. Have a good day.
Yeah.
Good to see you, Taylor.
All right. Yeah, I'll see you guys in a bit.
Take care.
Bye.
Okay. See you.
I scared her away.
Yeah, but this is where I worry about everybody, because it's kind of like everybody's saying, when you have so many different avenues of your life, whether it's your work life, your hobbies, let's just say, because just about everybody here has more than one kind of avenue where they put the time and effort in. By putting time and effort into one thing, you automatically feel like you're feeling something else, right? So if I say I go to 2 videos a week. Not that I can do one, but anyway. If I go to 2 videos a week, I'm not preparing as much for my day job, and I go in and suck at work. And sometimes you don't know that until you've just finished, and you kind of go, "Oh man!" So you're like in this persistent state of I'm failing at life, even though you're being incredibly productive.
Yep.
But you know what we keep doing though? We keep doing more. That's what kills me.
Yeah.
We all say this, and then so Steve opens up a new chat. Like, Steve's like, "Oh man, I'm really busy." Yeah, let me just open up a new chat. Like, we all do this we all do it to each other, right? And we just take on more and more and more. We'll say, "Oh man, I can't handle anymore," and then we do something else, right? And in a way, I think part of that is maybe it's like I don't want to say perfectionist, but it's that drive, and it's a good thing. It's positive, but at the same time, it can be overwhelming, but in a good way because we love it, right? Yeah. And I know that for me, like, I've sucked my poor wife in, who's my business manager, into so much stuff that she would have nothing to do with ever, right? And she's so wonderful. She's amazing. I love her so much, but it's like sometimes I feel bad. It's like, I've sucked you into this whole thing. Because now I'm not just an author. Now I'm a kind of fake booktuber, part-time blogger. Well, no, I don't have a booktube channel. Steve's a real booktube. You guys are
You've got a big channel.
Yeah, the 5 of you guys are real booktubers. I just kind of hang out and kind of leech off Steve and Taylor.
Cut it out.
My point is that like, you take on all this stuff, and it's like, ooh, it's like, oh, thank God, like my book. Yeah, I got to make a good book though. And, I still have my full-time job, and I don't want to suck at that either. Yeah. And it's a pretty important job. And it's like, ooh, and then you guys spend time with your wife. I have kids, grandkids, yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and I think, when we see people on YouTube, it's easy to forget that people on the internet are also human, And I think it's not just coming from people on the other side of the screen. We forget that we are human sometimes, I think. And so I'm learning to give myself a lot more grace if it's Tuesday night and I know I should have a video coming out at 10:15 on Wednesday, but I'm having a really rough anxiety day. It's okay. Like I'm getting a lot better at just setting it aside and like not pushing myself because the video is not going to be as good anyway. Yeah. That's the other thing. I want to make sure that I'm giving myself the right space to create quality content because it'll make me and my subscribers a lot happier. So
I'm far too compulsive to do that. I have to have 4 scheduled and 4 in the tank at all times. Right now, I have anxiety because I've got 4 scheduled and 3 in the tank.
You know what's so funny about that, Andrew? In December, I scheduled out for 2 weeks. It's the first time I've ever done that. I'm usually literally editing and posting like Tuesday night for Wednesday's video, like almost always.
I'm done with January already.
Like I was stressed out because everything was like scheduled out for 2 weeks, and I started getting anxiety about it. I was like, I have nothing to do. Like I got to film a video or something.
Yes.
Like, I have nothing to do.
My patrons get the early release videos at 10 p.m. the night before they go live because that's when I'm done with them. Because again, like if I don't have a video going up tomorrow, like I have a bunch of other things I'm gonna do. Like I don't want to. I'm not gonna sit down and edit. I can read. I can hang out with my wife. I can play video games. I can do something else rather than going in there and editing. Now it does have to be edited. So sometimes I wish I would edit things on a day that I'm not quite so busy, like with work or social obligations, so that I'm not staying up till midnight getting it done. But otherwise, like I can't sit there for 6 hours and edit a bunch of crap when it takes like roughly an hour and a half per video, average. Like I can't. Like I can't do it. I
only get 30 minutes into editing a video.
Yeah, and now on top of everything else, to add insult to injury, now I have to keep up with all of you guys. And if I miss a video from Steve or Andrew or Chris or Tori or Al, I'm like, I didn't watch that. What if it was something important? And it's like
we'll never speak
1,000 YouTube channel subscriptions.
PL, that is the thing. That is the sword of Damocles that hangs over my head on a daily basis. Is I feel so bad if I do not engage in reciprocity. So if I have my friends who have BookTube channels who are all commenting on my channel, and I go because I get busy and I just don't have like time to watch anything. Like this last week was really bad for being able to watch stuff. I feel so bad. Like I feel like I'm just like I'm taking from people. Yes. But not giving anything back. Like I feel so bad. So
what's funny? Sometimes I don't comment on videos because I feel the same way. Sometimes I don't comment on purpose so they don't feel like they have to do the same to me.
No,
so then
I have a mental notebook that I'm writing down. Oh, so and so hasn't commented on my videos in a long time. That's not true.
But here's the other question.
I better go comment on one real quick.
Yeah, I know. When you come up to
I have the same issue though. Like I've got like certain people where I watch their videos and I try and leave a comment, and then like it's weird. So like Nico will watch all of my videos, and a lot of the times like I'm just like, oh crap, I'm like 6 months behind on commenting on somebody's video. Like it's too far gone at this point. Like the friendship has to end.
Yeah.
Well, Chris, what were you saying about that?
So I was going to say, so like Andrew's just come up to 3K. See, when you're close to a milestone, right? Does it ramp up the pressure even more? I know Alan makes fun of the 10K thing all the time because it's like a thing.
I ate a one-chip challenge for 3K.
I make fun of it because it's true. I'm commenting on truisms that I observe in life.
But does it make you go, God, I need to put out this type of video to get over that hump? Because we all know there are certain types of videos that perform better and do all of that kind of stuff. Does it kind of like, right, well, I'll just do this one time. Like, I don't like making those videos, but I'll do this because it'll get me over that like threshold or hump.
I don't do that. I've got a structured month. I do book haul, I do my my wrap ups and stuff like it's all structured. Like you can expect what you're gonna get out of me just by looking at any given month. So
that's why those benchmarks are a blessing to Kirk. It doesn't matter if it's BookTube, you're trying to get Twitter or Instagram or Facebook or whatever you're aiming for, that milestone. It is a blessing because the minute you know that you've got 3,000 subscribers, 4,000 subscribers, it's already done. Now you want 5. It's already it's done. It's done. You're already looking at shit. I gotta get 5.
I'm looking to hit 5 by the end of the year. Yeah. I don't know if it'll happen.
I think you got a good chance, buddy.
I think you'll be
momentum.
Yeah, I think you're gonna
easily.
Yeah, you guys are all. I can honestly say without this is it. I'm just saying honestly, all you guys, your trajectories are just like woo. You know, I watch the content and I watch people just keep subscribing. Like so, hats off to you.
It's funny watching.
Twitter makes me sad. Why is everybody so mad on Twitter? Like,
you're in the wrong circles, my dude.
No, I'm watching authors witch and moan and be mean to people on Twitter.
You know what? I agree with Tori. Let me tell you something about Twitter. Okay, so this is Twitter. If you're in your corner, you will never see that. You'll almost never see that unless you really go deep diving into your feed. And then you'll see people that maybe, it's just the algorithm. But really, if you're in your lane, like if I just mostly, because with my Twitter, I follow obviously all you guys. I see what you guys are doing. And there's a bunch of people I follow. I see what they're doing. And I look and see people that I care about boosting. I'm there to boost them. I promote my own stuff, and there's so much other stuff going on organically that but if you just do that, I guarantee you, Alan, you'll avoid a lot of the negativity and the nonsense.
Something will go across and like someone's like, oh, like this guy said, all self-published sucks butt by the nature of it being self-published. And I'm like, what is this guy's problem? And where did he come from? And then someone else is like, this freaking this trad pub guy is witching and moaning that it's not promoted enough. And I wish I had that many reviews. So I'm like, why is everybody yelling all the time?
I just ignore it and move on.
Bingo.
You gotta be careful on Twitter because randomly I'll see a lot of the times if you follow me, I'll just auto follow you back without looking at your profile. And so if it looks even remotely bookish, I'll just, and I'm scrolling, bam, naked people just out of nowhere. I'm like, what? No. And now I got to go and block somebody. And it's awkward for me now because I don't go to Twitter to look at naked people. I go to Twitter to talk to my friends and discover bookish stuff.
Yeah, no, and you know what? You really and truly and you guys all have a lot of followers. I have a decent amount of followers on Twitter. I just really just focus it on the people I care about. I look for what you folks are putting out, what my other Twitter friends, the people I care about, I focus on them, and the rest I just leave. Right. And I feel guilty when I will get to something I might miss something by say one of you or some other friends, but overall, that's all I focus on. And when you just do that and you just kind of promote the stuff that you have going on, I really honestly think that you can avoid a lot of the nonsense.
I get
because
sorry, go ahead, Steve. Sorry.
I was just saying, I think that used to be true. I think in the last couple of months, I have noticed that I used to see maybe 2% political stuff in my feed. That's not why I go to Twitter. I don't want to. That's not why I go there. Now it's more like 30% political stuff on both sides. It's extremes on both
Twitter's
sides.
the worst place to go to look for anything about politics. Twitter, everyone just shouts at each other and, oh, you changed my mind. You're right. Send me a voter registration card. You screamed at me.
And it's funny because, obviously a lot of that is very U.S. focused. I'm a Canadian. And, not that we don't have political issues, not that we don't have, it's in some ways similar, but it's not. It's just perhaps not as pervasive. But I honestly think that, especially with the writing community, because we all know that it's in silos, right? Even in the general writing community, and I'm not calling anybody, I'm just saying in general, I'm in pretty well the self-pub, booktube writing community. A lot of the trad authors don't engage with a lot of that stuff, right? Some of them do, but some of them don't. So pretty well the people that I'm associated with are booktubers and self-pub authors for the most part, predominantly. And a few agents, a few, bloggers that aren't booktubers, some chat authors, but that's pretty well my sphere. Editors, but that's pretty well my sphere. So if you kind of stay in your lane, I just find that I don't yeah, it comes up, but I just find, I know what you're saying, Steve. Like there has been an increase. I agree, because when I go to the main feed, the algorithms keep popping back to whatever. Like Steve said, it's a lot more political. But I just stay in my lane, and I have my own political views, and I have my own things I care about, and I do follow some political people, but I don't voice that. I kind of keep that to me, and I kind of stay, but my main concern is seeing what you guys are doing, seeing what other self-pub authors are doing, who has a new release out that I want to check out.
Another problem, speaking of new releases and stuff, like, man, the days where I didn't know anybody else who read, and I would read like 10, 15 pages of Memories of Ice and Night. Took me a month to finish, had no pressure. And when I was done, guess what I did? I immediately picked up the next one in the series, and I kept reading. And then I already have this stupid TBR. And then the problem is when I start interacting with really nice people who have written their own books, now, like, PL, I just want to go freaking pick up your book now because you're so nice. And but the problem is,
he does that to trap you.
It's working.
That beautiful handsome smile, it's all a trap.
I am easily manipulated. That's fine. But I mean, that literally happens. Like that has happened so much. I have spoken to like a lot of like self-published authors like recently, and I'm like, well, now I got this whole second stream of novels flowing into my TBR. Like I couldn't read the ones I had, and so that makes me feel worse. You have to understand that. Okay, so there's 75% water or whatever. There's not. There's like 20% water, 50% indignation, and then like the other 5% water, 50% indignation, 45% incredible crippling shame and self-loathing for not fulfilling obligations, and guilt in not putting things out or not teaching the lesson correctly, or some kid fails. That's clearly my fault, not the fact that they couldn't study like if I gave them the test to look at. So that's pretty much me.
But you know what it is? It's because all of us, booktubers, self-pub authors especially, we're so damn accessible. If you DM me, I'm going to answer. You can DM, Victoria Aveyard or Holly Black. I'm sure they're great people, but doesn't mean you're necessarily going to get an answer. Or they may have to go through the agent. You may have to go through their publisher. Yeah. For us, for booktubers, for self-pub authors, we're pretty well like, hey man, I want to talk to Andrew. Why don't you DM him?
That's the only reason Thiago talks to me. Thiago talks to me, so I'll read his stuff. That's he's figured it out.
I've had a ton of interactions where like, hey, this author said that you respond, and then I just get authors. All of this, year and a half. All self-pub. Year and a half.
Yeah, I have.
And at least 30 to 40 of those are review copies.
Yeah, I have 40 ARCs, like email electronic ARCs, that I don't know when I'm going to get to them because people just DM me or they'll send me something to my website or they'll be like,
"This my hands sweat." By saying that, you just made my hands start sweating. You've given me anxiety by telling me that. Oh my gosh!
I think it's the fact that you're drinking coffee in the evening. You can't be Mike. Mike is the coffee lord. You can't be Mike, Alan.
I drink coffee all the time, Andrew.
No, I can't do it. I don't know how y'all do it. It's got to be. It's got to be a.
My doctor told me I have to drink decaf in the evening. It's decaf, Andrew. I like the way it tastes, Andrew.
Nobody likes the way decaf tastes.
It's Javalia decaf. I got it from the Capitol line, not over in Plebtown.
Oh, excuse me.
It's Javalia decaf.
This audiobook's going to be great.
Did have a question from Horrible. Can I ask you on the channel? Is anyone going into the NYC short story challenge this year?
What is that? No idea what that is. Stressful.
Yeah. I know it is, but I don't write short stories. It sounds great, but I don't write short stories.
I can
Tori,
write them like a 500-page short story.
Yeah, we're fantasy writers. Short is like kind of like we don't do short that well. No. We kind of do long really well. Like Alan was saying, we're kind of good at writing these 1,000-page tomes, but yeah, we don't.
Like my mom's so funny because my mom has she's a leadership coach, and I'm her writer daughter, right? So she will ask me questions like, hey, can you help me write a slogan for this? Or can you help me write like a bio or whatever? And I'm like, Mom, if you want a 500-page slogan with like dragons in it, sure. Like trying to come up with like a 10-word slogan, I stress out about that so much. I'm like, I don't know how to do this.
Just make it 11. Just release
You're right.
the tension. Just I refuse, and just
that's the chonky slogan. That's the chonky slogan.
Yeah, there's different kind of writers. There's people who can write, for advertising. There's people who can write, back covers. There's people who can write, short fiction. Most fantasy writers probably write things that are more than 150,000 words and tend to be a lot longer. Hence, looking at, for example, Andrew's shelf behind him, like there's a lot of chonky books out there, right? Like, yeah.
I just sit here and stare at my shelves and weep with anxiety because there's never enough time.
But it also feels good because it looks pretty.
Yeah, it looks pretty.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do, Alan? What are you gonna do?
I'm gonna read Andrew. You read 20 books a month. You cannot sit here and talk
read 20. I did
How
it
many
one
books?
time.
How many books do you read in November? How many books do you read in November, Andrew?
I don't know.
I got you.
Yeah, pull up my Goodreads. How many books did I read in November?
It's a record of it. Yeah.
It's all recorded. It's on YouTube somewhere. But reading fast is a curse, though. It is. It is a curse. I'm slowing myself down.
I have an illness. I can't help it. How dare you judge me on my illness?
I'm with you.
Not an illness.
He's looking it up now.
Well, I was looking it up. Yeah, well,
Your
I was looking it up.
October-November read is 30-plus books.
Wow.
That's 2 months.
Okay.
Caught. You've been caught, Andrew.
Give me
If
a
you
second.
divide that by 2, it's not 20 a month. Do
Hang
math.
on. September, 18 books read. Almost all of them over 500 pages.
Jeez.
That's still not 20.
Everybody has a niche, though. That's
August,
Sanders' niche.
you have more than 20, but you refuse to put the number in the thumbnail.
Andrew, how many books did you read last year?
210.
Oh, I'm sorry. July wrap-up, indie books galore.
I said I did it
25
one
books.
time. That was 25 books. I did it one time, and that was for a competition. I got hyper competitive. I don't like to
Andrew,
lose.
I
Alan.
read 58 books all year. And one of those was The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse that I read in 10 minutes. And the rest of them, I also counted Brian McClellan short stories to juice my numbers. I freaking cooked my Goodreads books.
That's not my fault, Alan. That sounds like a you problem and not a me problem.
Oh.
Like, you're dead to me. Like, I'm literally calling. I don't know.
I've been thinking about doing a video that kind of like the one that Alan did, where I rank all the books I read last year. And now I kind of, because Alan will not know hardly any of the books, so I kind of want to put Alan on that video with me, just so he can like talk about the books as I'm putting them in the tiers without knowing anything about them.
I guarantee you from the title, I'll know plenty. And then I'll look it up on Goodreads and see how long it is and be like, that is 200 pages too long to be an S tier. Move it down.
Well, I mean, Tori's book sounds really cool, like werewolves, and like, I mean, that sounds like a pretty, like...
Yeah, let me ask you a
Alan,
question. Let me ask, no, hold on.
stop.
Let me ask you a question.
Alan, stop.
Ooh,
Don't even go there.
I love that cover. I do love that cover.
So, Tori, tell us about your book.
You don't
Yeah,
know what
please.
I'm doing, Tori.
Oh.
Yeah, I do. I know exactly what you were doing. Get out of here.
No, I want to hear about Faze. I do. And just give me some serious
Thank you,
promos.
BL. Thank you. Yeah. So the cover is done by my amazing best friend, Sparrow Springs Art. She just did that Griffin illustration for Chiago. And I will brag
nice.
about her before I brag about myself. So my book is essentially, if I'm being super honest, it's an exploration of PTSD through the eyes of two sisters who are werewolves. It is YA. It is very dark. So it's YA. It's about two girls who are true blood werewolves, and they're very dangerous to society, according to the organization that kind of monitors all of this. And they're basically out on good behavior, and they are supposed to prove that they can assimilate into human society without being a danger. And if they can't, then they're going to end up basically being lab rats for the rest of their lives. So that's kind of the like initial catalyst of the story.
Ooh, I'm picking up like some like kind of like Underworld vibes.
Underworld
like,
is one of my favorite movies of all time.
Okay. Gotta get it.
That when I hold it, or I did a recent video where I was talking about Underworld and I was like holding up phase.
Yeah.
Okay, I got it, and it was already high on my TBR. So now we gotta
I mean, who
that.
doesn't like Kate Beckinsale in full black leather?
I mean, when I was like a teenager, I was
Chris
like, I'm
knows
going
what's
to be Celine when I grow up. That was my goal in life, was to be Celine when I was older.
Yeah, I think the whole thing about Underworld was the werewolf versus vampire thing was just so compelling. I just ate that up. Right?
Yeah, and especially
the whole backstory.
because you cared so much about characters on both sides.
Yeah, exactly. So okay, good. It's going even higher up the TBR. So okay, that's awesome. Okay.
Yeah, it was. I actually started it. I won't go too far into this, but I started it right before I started trauma therapy in 2019. And so there's a lot of things. This book kind of became almost its own like therapy journal in a lot of ways. There are things in the book that like I was working through as I was writing the characters, working through them. And it's one of the most amazing writing experiences I've ever had because of that. And I just think it goes further to prove like how incredibly amazing writing can be for the writer, not just the people reading it and finding things that are relatable in it. So
well, kudos to you. Like the fact that it was cathartic as well. Like, but
totally.
I'm huge on themes. Steve knows me. The book doesn't have themes. I'm kind of not really gonna grab me. So I'm sold.
Found family, Motley Crue, sisterhood, bond, mental health.
Oh yeah, I'm there. You got me. I'm there. I'm absolutely in.
And some really good tooth and claw, visceral werewolf action. Yep.
Okay. Yeah,
Also, to answer Eureka, I'm gonna say How to Sell a Haunted House. Haven't read it. Title alone has me interested.
Yeah, that leads to our next comment. But I want to say, Tori, would you be willing to come by and talk Underworld on my other channel?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
We'll just set that up.
I will have to watch the movies again. Oh no.
Always pimping. What?
Yeah, always. The comment from Elrika, I'm in between books right now. Should I pick up Red Rising? How to Sell a Haunted House?
Good things about that. Is it good, Andrew? Like I've heard so many good things. Or I see Red Rising all over the place. No, Andrew's shaking his head. No.
Okay, so listen, if we're talking from Tori's perspective, yes, Red Rising is good because she's only read the first 3 books.
That's fair. I do not know Ulrika's reading tastes.
Are really good. Books 4 and 5, no.
How many in the series? It's a big series then. How many in the series?
There's going to
be
7
so far, and then he's doing 6 and 7.
You want to know why? Because people can't write. Like they can't keep it within a freaking like confined thing. It always is like, well, there were going to be 3 books. Lied, 5 books. No, 9 books.
Because Wheel of Time was supposed to be 5 books.
Okay, Alan, you can't read my series then. It's 7 books. 7 books.
I was just gonna say, you just call that PL.
Yes,
maybe pull the quote.
PL. Are they like? Okay, so Red Rising through Morningstar, they're like 350, 400 pages each one. Freaking Iron Gold, like 500 pages. Dark Age, 750 pages. Light Space Bringer, 800 pages. That is what bothers me.
So that's why
I will say you got to respect an author who's willing to throw out 20% of his book because he's not happy with it.
Yeah, true. That's a good point.
Yep.
That's a good point.
Was it 20%? I don't know. Like Pierce Brown threw out like 200 pages.
I'm so glad that he talked about that and was like super, because people need to like that that's normal, because if something is going wrong in the book and it is not working, don't publish it that way. Fix it and just take a little bit longer. It's going to be better in the end anyway.
No, you're right. But everybody has their thing, but I have a rule, like 500 pages is probably my max for any book that I write. Like, as much as I love immersive fantasy, and I love books that are 600-700 pages. I talked about a little more, and I talked about We Break Immortals. Love those books. They are absolute chonkers, twice as big as mine, but I couldn't write it. I couldn't read it from myself. I could read it from someone else, but I couldn't read it from myself. So I think that, especially because my main character is an a-hole, so
he's not that big of an a-hole. At least he wasn't in the Drowned Kingdom.
Yeah, he's
I mean, he's royalty.
Yeah, exactly, and that's the way I roll
by nature, royalties are a-holes. But
exactly. Yeah, and that was kind of the point.
The Purple Prince author?
Oh yeah, Mankey's. Oh yeah, I got to read his stuff. It sounds awesome.
I still got to get the book.
Yeah,
that's on.
That might be the
prettiest. It's on the list.
Yeah, big on the list. Yeah, that.
We're I'm discussing that with Jimmy and Shelf Center next month.
Nice.
Okay, spoilers or spoiler free, Steve?
Both. I think we'll probably do the first half announcement, but then we'll get into the good stuff.
Maybe I'll watch the first half then, because I really want that book, and I have a character called the Purple Prince, and it just makes it that much more kind of wanting to get that book. So
people can disagree with me on books 4 and 5 of Red Rising all they want. I didn't like it, and so that's just kind of what it ends up being. I hated Lysander. Lysander's the worst.
I mean, I agree, but I mean, I hate freaking Ephraim in book 4. I don't like book 4 at all, and I hate one of the POVs in book 4. And then book 5 is good. It's good, but the problem is it's not fun anymore. Like, all of the excitement is gone, and it's all just like depressing crap. And that's everybody's like, yeah, but that's why it's called Dark Age. And I'm like, yeah, but like I'm not having fun anymore. It's just like, oh, another heavy thing. Oh, look, another heavy thing. Oh, look, something else. I'm just like, man, like, what? Peaks and valleys. What if we had give me something to cheer before we just it's just a drag. Like, Dark Age is really good, I think. It's just a drag, and I don't know if
maybe I was just fatigued by Dark Age. I didn't think it was good.
I'm not it's good, Mike. It's just like, I'm not saying it's not good. I'm saying for me it was exhausting to read because it just made me tired.
And I'm not trying to make excuses at all, but I know for me, like, my thing is, in my mind, I'm saying, oh yeah, no problem. I'll keep upping it, and the suspense and everything will be better every book. Every book will be an improvement, continuous improvement, what I'm striving for, and automatically, oh yeah, absolutely. But it's not a guarantee, and it's not up to me, it's up to the reader, right? I think that, I'm saying, for example, me, and I'm not saying to boast, that every book that I've written is successfully better. But that doesn't mean it's not hard to sustain over a long series a certain level of craft and keep upping that, right? Like, I think that's what we're all going for. Tori, I don't know what your experience is with. I know for me, it's like, and you can almost feel like, for example, people rave about the Last Atlantis being so much better than Drowned Kingdom. However, in my mind, the Drowned Kingdom is still my baby, right?
Well, yeah, it was the first book.
Yeah, and for as many people have said, Lord and King is that much better than the Last Atlanteans, I'm still thinking about Drowned Kingdom. But that's an author thing. That's an individual thing. Like you said, it's still your baby. But you're trying for that continuous improvement every single book. You're striving to get better. And there is that pressure, especially if you have a long series. Like, I have a 7-book series. So I'm hoping I can keep people, entertained for 7 books. That's my plan. I think I can. But that's not for me to say. It's up to the readers to tell me, you know what, or no, you did it, right? Like, so
I don't know. Like Alan said, it stopped being fun at Dark Age. There was so much in the nick of time stuff, and there was so much Here Comes the Cavalry. There was so much, let's get as edgy as we can get. You're muted, dude.
Alan, you're muted.
Help him out.
I said, I'm not entertaining your anti Here Comes the Cavalry thing again. Like, I'm not entertaining it. The freaking courts ruled on that last week.
No,
Alan
it was tossed out.
It was
Alan
tossed
has an
out.
opinion.
I wrote the majority opinion that tossed it out.
I don't
you guys
submit to your judge, jury, or executioner.
Okay, but you guys have to tell me, Alan and Andrew, I haven't read the book. Is it like Uber, like Deus Ex Machina, or is it just like,
it's some, but no, not
There's
not.
some
It's
of
not,
it, but like
it's not over the top.
There's
Andrew.
literally rubbing salt in the wounds.
What? So
It
when
was
I get cut,
stupid.
I go in the freaking beach salt water, and it freaking makes it feel better and disinfects it. Andrew, you can rub salt in wounds.
I do. There, I actually have a moment of that in my book that I'm writing right now.
Oh snap! Andrew hates Tori's books. Confirmed.
We'll talk, Tori.
I do find it fascinating that for such a popular series, Red Rising seems to divide opinion so much, especially when you're like,
the first 3 books are great.
That's why,
when they're single POV.
Like, the thing that I will say about this, and I have not read Iron, Gold, or Dark Age, and I'm going to put that as a caveat before Alan reminds everyone. But
Iron Mid.
My thing is, I don't really see why if because they're separated by such a large time gap, the first 3 are their own trilogy, and I will always see them that way. And I don't care if he writes 100 more books in the Red Rising series. It's like I'm kind of seeing that as 2 separate things at this point, and I have to, because I can't. Red Rising is like my favorite fantasy series of all time, so I can't have that changed by like the after stuff. So I'm just kind of going into it as like it's a completely different story and seeing on its own merit what I think.
But how do you deal with, like, I know what's Jim Butcher's series?
Dresden
Files. Dresden Files. And Will Wright, Cradle. Like, it seems like those things are never going to end. I haven't read them, but it just seems like there is no end.
Cradle's got 1 book left.
Oh, does it? Oh, okay. I wasn't sure, because it just seemed
Waybound
like
is going to be the final entry.
Yeah, the impression from an outsider who has read it is that these series are going on forever. There is no end. So, I don't know if it's like, for me, I would worry as an author about, something that is that continuous. Like, I think 7 books for me is a lot. And there's very few 7-book series out there now. Like, writers aren't writing a lot of 7-book series anymore. You're seeing trilogies, you're seeing even quadrologies, but you're not seeing a lot of beyond that. But yeah, like, I just wonder, like, how hard it is to, with the same characters, the same cast, the same general, like, how easy it is to sustain that, as you keep stretching these long series out.
As somebody who's read Dresden 3 to 4 times, I think Dresden's got a little bit too long in the tooth, and I think that time gap really hurt it for me, because I lost interest. And even with rereading the entire series with the release of those 2 books, it wasn't enough to get me back into the game. And it didn't help that I felt like I could feel the split that he did. And like, there was filler. I didn't like a lot of the decisions. I understand some of them, still didn't like it. And so I feel like he needs he's shooting for, I think, oh gosh, he just added another book. So it's 25 books now. And then a trilogy.
25?
He's planning 25.
The same main character.
Oh yeah. 25 to 27 books. And he's on book 18. And it's already been 23 years.
But it's also like the first 11 books are like procedurals. Like, it's almost like a James Patterson novel or something at the time, or Patricia Cornwell novel. So
he did what a lot of authors kind of do, is he was trying to get published. So he wrote the first like 4 or 5. He just had those. And so the first 3 came out within like 24 months. And then since then it was like 1 every year or every other year. And then his life hit a bunch of personal stuff, and he had to hit the brakes. And then we got Peace Talks and Battleground. And now he's done like a short story. He's adding in a book because he needs a cool down period from Battleground.
See, I don't know if that formula works as well. Like, you talk about thrillers like, whether it's Jack Reacher or you name your character, right? I don't know if that same formula works as well or translates as well to fantasy and sci-fi. Like, I just, maybe I'm wrong.
No, I think that's fair.
There's a similar series that I read that does a lot of what Dresden does, and I noped out at 10 books because it was just exhausting. When you throw the entire pantheon of fantasy into a series and make it all real, it gets to be too much, and I think there's a real fine line to walk. And this is a self-pub series, so I'm not gonna crap all over it, but it is what it is. I actually can't fully remember the name of the series right now. Now that I'm trying to think of it, my recall won't let me pull it out of my brain. But I read like 16 books in that series because there was like side series, and he was putting out like a book every 3 months, and it got to be too damn much. And I think that's a real risk that Dresden is running right now.
What were you saying, Chris?
Well, my thing about Dresden is that for the same reason that people like James Patterson books and I can't read them, for the same reason that I was reading Patricia Cornwall books up to book 8 in the series and was like, I can't read any more of this. The comfort level of what you expect out of those books is what people keep coming back for, you know, and especially like I was doing them in audio, so I was going back for James Marsters. His narration of it was kind of the reason it was I being pulled back in, and then he obviously realized it himself because obviously book 12 that everybody talks about, he decided to change the series and make it sort of more of like a overreaching arc, and there was plot development going to happen. So he obviously realized it himself, but then to take that and go another 13 books is like, how are you going to do this? This is, it reached like, where it's a bit like Alan said, where are your peaks? Where are your peaks and your drops throughout those 13 books? Like, how do you keep that going over that extended period of time? Because you're ramping up, and you can only ramp up so much.
Yeah, what do you do? Like Tori, I don't know how you feel as a writer. Like, I'm saying, like, to me, I'm like, okay, well, either you kill your character, you kill your main character off, and you start with some auxiliary. Like you got to do something at some point in 2030. Yeah, like I mean, there's got to be a definitive, you know, ending to an arc. Like, because everybody cares about arcs, right? People care about character arcs. The character started here. We think maybe he or she is going there, and then you want to see them get to that point, and then it's like, okay, now we're done. And yeah, it may take 5, 6, 7, 8 books, but there's a point where you're like, okay, well, you know, this arc, you know, I've lost caring. I don't care as much anymore.
And I think there's a difference too between, like, you know, if you have a series where you have the same character for 25 books versus, you know, you create a world, you spend a ton of time creating worlds for fantasy series. Like, staying within the world is different because, you know, like, that's kind of what I'm going to do with my plan at the moment with the trilogy I'm working on right now, is that it's a prequel that's like a generation before the series that I started 10 years ago. So there's going to be, you know, they do exist in the same world for people who want that much of them. But if you just want to read the trilogy, it's its own contained story. So I think, like, there's different ways to do that. Like,
yeah, no, I agree, and I'm doing the same thing.
Like,
you know,
putting all that time in, you might as well use it.
Yeah, I'm doing the same thing in the world. I'm writing 7 books, and then about one character, and then I'm going back to write 2 prequel trilogies about characters that are mentioned, but these characters live hundreds of years before the current character, and the whole thing is to show you like what he thinks about them. He analyzes them, and they're not exactly what he thought. They're very different than the image he has in his head. Of course, how can you know? These are ancestors. They live hundreds of years before you're born. So, and it's the same universe, but very different settings. So, I mean, yeah, like you said, Troy, you could do something like that. But I think, you know, and I know I'm not saying it isn't all about getting stale. It's more about, you know, will people still care about what's happening to this person? Because books are all about conflict, right? What's your conflict? What's the stakes, right? If you think the main character especially is gonna live for 30 books, you know, like the stakes kind of deteriorate.
That's one of the problems I have with really long series is power creep. In that, and this happens playing D&D also. A lot of times the first levels of D&D are really, really fun because everything is deadly. Like, especially in 2nd edition where wizards can start with 1 freaking hit point. Like, everything is deadly. But then the characters get so powerful that in D&D and in I literally had a freaking I literally had a book series in my head, and then I've forgotten it. So hopefully it'll come back to me. But I'm dealing with this.
Forgotten Realms.
Oh, Dritz, thank you. The Dritz books. The first ones are good, like when they're first in Mensa Brands.
R.A. Salvatore, right?
Like they are outnumbered and outgunned, and it is like, but like 12 books in, 15 books in, nothing can kill them. And that's the way in D&D too. Nothing can kill your players anymore. So you have to start throwing like, and then like literally the gods sent demons down from the heavens to like, and it just becomes a different kind of scale. And I'm not saying one's better than the other, but it does a lot of times in long running series, the you have to scale up the stakes. And sometimes they get a little bit off the rails where it's just like, what if we, because that's what I'm talking, like in One Piece, which is, manga or anime been running for 20 plus years. I'm like, do you remember when they used to like sit and talk to each other and like have like fun conversations and, a fight took like 2 episodes, not 80, like, and the amount of abilities they have, I'm like, there's no way this can be scaled up. Like it cannot continue on this path. Otherwise, they're going to be fighting planets. And
didn't that just happen in Dragon Ball Super, where like a planet is now a villain?
But does that make sense? Like the power creep, I think it gets away from some authors. Yeah. Not always. Like a lot of times the power creep, like when the stakes are like it still does stay tense without like, literally the heavens are coming down like all the time. Like it's really, really good because we have these powerful guys. Okay, who cares? Like then it's really, really good. But sometimes it's just like, I'm not afraid for a second for these people. Like it's why I don't like Superman. I don't like Wolverine. I don't like characters that heal really fast because I'm never like he's gonna win. Oh, but Superman is weak against Kryptonite. So what? Like
Book reviews?
Sorry?
Book reviews.
Mike's book reviews. Awesome. Amazing book channel. Amazing book reviewer.
Mike's giving me crap in the comments, but I still love him.
He talked, I think there was one video I watched from him. He talked about that. I was like, okay, like enough is enough already, right? Like, and I don't know if you folks feel the same. So Jenny Wirt series, for example, is 11 books. Okay. Her Wars in Light and Shadow series. And she's an amazing writer. I read it for the prose. I read it for the themes or for a lot of things, right? But I think for her, for me, that is probably the utmost length that I can read in a series to go, I'm still invested in these characters. I'm still invested. And she's a phenomenal writer, my favorite writer. Anyway, but I think that's probably my limit. Like, that's why I haven't picked up series like Dresden Files or Cradle yet, because I'm like, geez, like how many books will I have to put aside to read 13 books? Will Wright, I'm sure, is a great author.
Super skinny. Like the longest Cradle book's 500 pages.
Yeah, but while I read 13, 14 books of Cradle, then I'm not reading, 5 books, three, Zach Argyle's trilogy, which I want to finish. I got one more book. You know what I mean? Like I want to finish Jonathan French. I got one more book. So you know what I mean? But to invest in, I want to read Malazan, which is a big series, right? I'm still finishing Jenny's series. I have all these shit, but it's like, so if you pick a long series, that's a serious investment, and you're going to forego other books that you might just knock off quickly, standalones.
These are 1 to 2 day reads for me.
Wow.
So I don't invest. I've maybe got 20 to 25 days total investment in this series.
Yeah, but it's also the video game problem. Like, Witcher's game. I know Al's been talking about the Witcher because he's been playing it again because of the remaster. At a certain point, it is a power fantasy. You want to be kind of walk into your room and kind of go, right, I'll just blaze everything about. But you can only sustain that for so long. Like if you do that a third of the way through the game and you're just blazing through the rest of the game, there's no stakes in that game. Like it's no fun at that stage. It's no good. So you have to save that for the very, very end. And then only the really best games do it well, where you make a character really super powerful, but still have a challenge or something at the end. Like that's such a short list.
Yeah, you have to give your it's natural that your main guy, named woman, man, whatever, is gonna have plot armor, right? Yep. He's gonna have plot armor, and that plot armor is gonna be pretty thick for the most part. But still, you have to at least create the illusion that he could die, or he or she could die, or something could happen. They could get
not if you're Darrow.
Yeah, well, yeah.
I think Dark Age suffered from the power creep. I think the stuff that they have to throw, it just became like, I think that's part of the reason that I don't like it as much. It's like it was dangerous, I thought, the first three. And then in Dark Age, it's on a scale that I can't even really like process. So therefore it doesn't resonate as much. If that makes any sense. Sorry, Tori. I didn't mean to.
No, I was just gonna say I kind of feel like for me that's one of the reasons why one of the tropes I have the hardest time with reading and why I kind of avoid a lot of books that like just go directly for this trope is the chosen one trope. Excuse my hooligans in the background. Because for me, yeah, that plot armor, like it takes away the stakes from so many things. So if you have like the chosen one's best friend is in a battle, now I'm invested because he doesn't have the same kind of plot armor that, the chosen one does. But as soon as the chosen one, and it's just like, oh, and he's going to go up against so-and-so. And you're like, well, the other guy's dead.
Yeah, you're not going to like Wheel of Time.
Yeah.
I'm not I'm reading it, Andrew. I'm so sorry.
But I mean, the chosen one friends definitely have plot armor. It's a plot device.
It's a skill, though. It's a skill. So Bernard Cornwell, one of my favorite authors, that the character he's written historical fiction. He's written the Saxon Chronicles.
Oh, we're talking about Bernard? I missed it. Sorry, I love Cornwell. Sorry.
Yeah, amazing. But as much as the character is probably going to make it because it's almost like a retrospective thing that they tend to look back. His character's looking back or serious. You still feel that tension, like, oh my, but is he going to make it? Even though in your mind, well, of course he made it because he's writing about something that happened when he was a young guy and now he's old. But he can create that sense of tension that, oh my God, or is this other character you really love going to make it? That's a friend of the character. Like it's a skill, right? And not every, and there's a lot of great writers out there, but not every writer can
well, and I think
that.
Like that's where if you're gonna do a chosen one trope well, or just have that kind of plot armor with your main protagonist, that's where you really have to know what people can lose that isn't their life. And I think that's where the stakes come in when it's not about life and death. It's about losing innocence or losing, friends or, whatever it is. That's where the focus has to be instead of like, there are so many more worse things than death,
Excellent point. That's an excellent point.
I think that's true because Dresden's a pretty good example. By a certain point of the series, you don't actually care about Dresden. Dresden's a bit of an a-hole. He is, but you're worried about the people that he's associated with. You're very invested in those people that are there. And actually, Dresden's kind of this lens to view the world through rather than actually the main character. It's very much the lens to those other people. And for that reason, that's what the stakes and that's series are.
I know Cornwell's never going to kill Sharp. Like, Sharp isn't going to die. But it's still, I still read Sharp just like hand shaking, like angry.
Exactly.
And, so, but when someone close to Sharp dies, I'm like, son of a crap.
Yeah. And that's how I feel about, and I go back to Cornwell. That's how I felt about his Saxon stories. And most of the characters are very minor. They're really auxiliary characters. But then when they don't make it, it's like, oh, they don't make it. It's like, oh, I kind of, but that's a skill. That's a skill, right? And I hope that
Cornwell's brilliant at it. Like the fact that he can write this character Obadiah Hakeswill, who, Sharp's not going to die. Like he's Sharp's arch nemesis, but Sharp's not going to die, and yet I still despise everything about this character, even though I know Sharp cannot die from this, but I'm still like, this piece of trash. What? Oh my gosh, worst villain in fiction that I've read. I have not come across any villain I hate worse than Obadiah Hakeswill yet.
I think, but Cornwell, I don't know if you read his Warlord Chronicles, the trilogy.
Lancelot is a very close second.
Lancelot is Lancelot. To turn an iconic character like that into someone you detest, you cannot wait to you can't wait to get this come up.
I never liked Lancelot in anything. So I was cheering. I'm like, this is the Lancelot everyone needs to see, not that attractive smiling crap they see in other stuff.
Yeah, Warlord Chronicles. Mike, Warlord Chronicles is I think
so
you read it
good.
too, didn't you, Andrew?
Yep.
Yeah, just
It is so good.
I was
Wait,
told
Mike,
I wasn't
Mike, wait
supposed
to
to
get
like
Mike. You're
Durfel
gonna love
Kadern, and
Uthrid.
Durfel's awesome.
It's amazing. Warlord
Mike,
Chronicles.
you're gonna love Uthrid. Uthrid is it's just incredible.
I've got the first 3 of the Warlord right there. Right there. There we go. I'm pointing right at it.
When you see my shelf, you'll see all of the Saxon Chronicles at the top, at the very top of my new shelf. That's where they are. Uthrid is amazing. Yeah, awesome series.
So part of the thing when it comes to Dresden is I'm gonna keep crapping on it because frankly I've read it 4 times. I feel like I've earned the right.
I love Dresden, by the way. I'll be that
yeah,
person,
but
even
like
though he's an
it's
a-hole.
hard to continue to like recommend a series when it peaked at book 12. Like anybody you talk to who's a Dresden fan is gonna recommend book 12. There are 6 other books after book 12. Nobody talks about that crap. It's always book 12.
But when you get to book 12, though, Andrew, that's my question. Like, will you be engaged enough? Like, okay, so
book 12 of Dresden. It's one of those rare things. It's one of those overhyped books that still isn't overhyped because when you sell somebody Dresden, you're like, wait till book 12, and people have 11 books to deal with that hype, and I still have yet to meet somebody who the hype wasn't real for them when they read it. It is that good of a book.
But it's also a book because of the structure of the previous 11 being procedural that you think the series could never go there because of the very nature of the way that he's written the series. So that's why it's so effective. You know, he nearly uses how tropey and everything that is before to kind of its advantage, which is sort of genius in its own way. You know.
But how do you convince a friend to go, look, man, you know what?
I don't talk about Dresden on my channel.
Read these 11 books.
Ever, actually.
Because it's worth it to read the 11 books, even if it might be a slog, maybe this just to get to book 12. That's a hard sell, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's a hard sell.
Well, Jimmy's doing it at the moment. He's like in book 8 or 9 or something. He's like, you know, I'll read this maybe again. You know, not DNF it, you know, the series, but I'll fit them in. And at some stage, you get to 12 and he'd be like, this is awesome. Exactly like Andrew says. He'd be like, and it'll push someone through the next couple of books, but then it'll come the same period as the stakes can only get raised so much. You know, if this is all right, you know, that's just where the series
basically
is.
my issue with Battleground is in order to make it awesome, he raised the stakes beyond my level of belief.
Yeah.
It became too high stakes. It raised the bar to the point of I rolled my eyes. And then it did something that made me angry. So, I mean, maybe he won. I don't know. I'll continue reading the series. Like, he's still getting my money. It's just, at the same time, it's just like, yeah, okay. I understand, like, Dresden's, like, the urban fantasy. But if I'm going to recommend an urban fantasy, chances are I'm not going to recommend Dresden. I'm going to recommend Alex Verus. 12 books completed.
It's a bit like I also say, like if you've written a book that's 2 or 3 books long, you're invested in the series. So you're invested in the characters. So your 4th book could be utter trash, but somebody will read it and go, I love these characters so much that I love the book, right? But at a certain point when you go to 12, 13, you're like, I
was reading October Day by Shannon McGuire, and I got to book 11, and I was like, I just don't care anymore.
Exactly that point. Yeah.
Yeah. But how do you explain, and we always go back to this point, how do you explain the Rothfuss and Martin phenomenon? And forget about the series, for Martin and Martin's case, all of the TV stuff. But how do you because I'm saying to myself, like, Tori, I know how you feel as a writer, is like, and I know it's a very different level. I'm a nobody. But, you know, right now there are people watching the internet waiting for the tiniest sliver of news about Winds of Winter. Like the tiniest sliver. Like even to say, oh, you know, like, so I actually have a Game of Thrones video scheduled for this month. Because I read a Game of Thrones part of Joanna's read along. I've been in a Song of Ice and Fire naysayer for years, and I'm actually putting out a recanting video of like I get it. It's really good. It's borderline God tier if you just remove the creepiness. And I don't really want to talk about the. But maybe because of the creepiness, though, Andrew. Maybe because of the creepiness, and I get it, but
Honestly, I would sing its praises from the top of my roof to the point where I get cited by my HOA if it would just remove that little bit of creepiness. Like I would get cited by my HOA for being a public menace.
A week ago, you were telling me how mid the book was, Andrew.
Say what?
A week ago, you were telling me how mid the book was.
That's because I was in the creepy part.
There was a very public discussion about this.
But isn't it different though? Because we know and we've seen it on screen. Like if you just read that, if you just read the incest part, if you just read that, right?
The incest,
it wasn't that part.
It's the 13-year-olds that bug me.
Oh, okay. But realizing though that technically, in a medieval context, that would be the way it would be, right? And that we've read actual historical events that's the way it is. That in all fairness, I'm not trying to play devil's advocate. I'm just saying, like, in a medieval context, did 13, 14, 15-year-olds get married and have kids? Yes. Right? Is that realistic? Yes. I'm not trying to defend Game of Thrones. I'm just saying, was it something that could happen? Like, conceptually, yes. Right? But I think that for me, if I was going to get over something, it would have had to be the incest. And I was like everybody else. By the time I got to this point, it's like you're cheering for these people, and that's sick in a way. But it's a skill of the author, right? You know what I mean? Like, and so I mean, it's still creepy, it's still gross, it's still unacceptable, it's still. But the author has got you hooked on these characters so much that you actually care about their. I can't even say it. Their romance. Right?
Here's one of the things.
It's gross, but
for people that read a lot of books, and whether you've read 50 books or 40 books or 20 books, whatever it is, when you read that many books, you sort of make excuses for the blanking part of those stories that you don't like or don't connect with you out, and you kind of go, I'll get through this, and then we get back to this part of the story that I want. If you were only reading 5 or 6 books a year, those sections become massive parts of your reading journey, and I think you have much more of an awareness and an excuse maybe for criticizing them, if that helps the case.
Did we run him off? What happened?
No, he went to take care of his children. He'll be right back.
Like to go.
Yeah,
practice his recant face.
Well done, Alan. You succeeded. There you go.
Got it.
See, was that easy?
Horrible is going to drop off.
I love the Game of Thrones stuff. Yeah. I was really engaged because I like political intrigue. And I know that's such a, what does that mean? It's another meaningless phrase.
I get it. I totally get it. I get it. I love it. I eat it up.
Which is why I didn't really enjoy books 4 and 5, because for me, I read them as they were coming out. 4 and 5 felt different to me than the first 3 did.
Yes.
And I understand that, Jimmy tells me to give them another chance, and maybe I will, but they just felt different. And then when Martin was doing that, I hadn't read any books that did what he was doing. And he just does it so well. And yeah, there's a lot of, but when it's written so well, I forget about the creepy, sexy time stuff. I hate that in my books, but I forget about it because I'm so carried away by the narrative that's just movements here that set up in book 1 that pay off. And I'm just fascinated by everything except the Bran storyline. I never liked the Bran storyline, but then, and then with Rothfuss, I think the reason that people are obsessed with, first of all, Name of the Wind got me back into reading fantasy after reading nonfiction and mysteries for forever. My wife, girlfriend at the time, made me read it. And I was so pulled in by, and I'm not it's written in such a plebeian prose style. I'm not going to read this trash. I don't give a crap how it's written. Can I understand? But it was not dense, but it was so and I don't like saying the word beautiful about writing, but his writing is just beautiful.
It is.
And the beginning of that with just the mystery of the Chandrian, it hooked me.
Yes.
And I was like, I have got to know what is going on. And I also really like Academy stories. I do. And so I loved 97% of that book. I thought the conclusion was dumb. I didn't like it I didn't like the conclusion of that book with him and Denna in the village and stuff like that. I thought that section, like, it felt so different than the other personal story we're telling. And all of a sudden there's this thing, and the way they resolve this thing is dumb. It's stupid. I'm like, are we in a cartoon now? I didn't like that. But I was so swept away by the storytelling and just the mystery and just the freaking the craftsman, like that, he's apprenticing for that guy. Like, he's not doing anything, but I'm fascinated by him trying to build that crossbow or whatever that crap he's building. Like, it's so. And then Wise Man's Fear got a little bit away from that and started hand waving large chunks of the story as if like, oh no, I only have a book and a half left to tell the story I said I was going to tell in 3 books. So that part will just wave away. And then it stops on stuff I don't care about. And it starts to feel less purposeful and more kind of adrift. And so I didn't like Wise Man's Fear as much, but his writing is still there. And that's why, even though like I'll give Rothfuss a hard time too, like, write your book, man. But still, I still remember like the way Name of the Wind made me feel. And I still remember Game of Thrones and the freaking Clash of Kings. Clash of Kings doesn't get any freaking love. None. But the Battle of Blackwater, I'm sorry, I teach tactics like that in my Greek history class. Martin knows history. That when the Battle of Blackwater Bay happens, I'm just reminded of the Battle of Syracuse in the Syracuse harbor with the Greeks in Sicily. And I'm like, yes. And that stuff is just, I hadn't seen it before. And Storm of Swords, the second half of Storm of Swords, I don't know of anything that has ever had the impact that had. Maybe sections of Long Price Quartet, which is why that lives in my head forever. Like, I think about it like almost every day. And so I think that's my guess on why that lives in people's consciousnesses so much and why people are so, ready for the next one, even though it's been 12 years, 11 years, because there's a lot of series that if you waited 10 years for the next book, people are gone. Like, no one's waiting. No one's even thinking about it. But Martin, his political intrigue is just like, you're just like, nothing's happening. And like, I don't care what's happening in the field with a fight. Take me back to King's Landing. Please let me see these people scheming. And why on earth can't Stannis get his birthright? Like, anyway. I agree. I totally agree. I still have, what's their plan? What's their plan, Chandria? Like, that is still in here, right? And one of the best scenes, that Chandrian stuff. Oh my gosh. It's the mystery I want to know in fiction more than anything else. I gotta know, PL.
Yeah. But anyways, I know Steve probably we've been prattling on for 2 hours. The time goes so fast, man. Holy moly!
Flies, yeah. No, Benjamin had a question. Do you have you read Slow Regard, Alan?
Do I? Oh,
Slow Regard for Silent Things.
No, because I don't like Ori. Like, I know that's not a popular opinion, but I don't like Ori.
You don't like Ori?
No, crawl back to your sewer and quit being weird. Like. It is, Tiago. It's on the coast.
I don't think.
Tiago. There's the SBFBO finalist, Tiago Abdallah. I feel like a shame that I haven't read his book yet, but
it's good. It's good. I like it a lot.
He's a fantastic person. Great. He's great.
You're on the cover of the sequel, Alan. Your opinion doesn't count anymore.
He told me now that I got a blow for the second one. He's done with me. He's cast me off. I'm only at 9K. He's got to shoot me higher.
Yeah.
But he's on like his 3rd book, right? Like, hasn't he written like 3 books already? So
He's got a gun for people with more subs. The big fish.
He usually just guarded you. That's it.
Can I just say something about what Aaron's saying about what puts you off the name when everybody calls it a fancy masterpiece? Is it anything that is new can be considered a masterpiece? I honestly believe that the only analogy I can provide is like sports. You can come out in sports and be the hottest thing since sliced bread, like right off the bat. You can just do it, and that's it. And it doesn't matter what you do afterwards, but whatever you did in that game, that match, it's like it captures the world's imagination. Everybody sees it on TV, and then that's it. And there's nothing you could do to lose that reputation. And I think that's actually what happened with Rothfuss. Like, I don't know if anybody cares that whether his next book was as good. I just think that the name of the win, it was lightning in a bottle, and there's boom, that's it. And there's no turning back from that. Like, one book made you a star. For a lot of authors, it takes 5, 6, 7, 8 books for people even read you. One book made him an overnight sensation, and people cannot stop talking about that. And that is, I mean,
I know PL will appreciate this reference. So in a similar way, you're basically talking the Sean Taylor effect for the Commanders.
Exactly.
It's very much
exactly.
6 years of a career, whatever he had. He died. He was probably going to be
tragic.
It was tragic, but he was probably going to be the greatest safety ever played the game. But actually, the fact that his career only lasts so long, he's immortalized. Because of those
Bingo.
Years,
I totally agree with you, Chris. I totally agree with you.
Kyle, I knew a guy who hated the term instant classic. Like, he would froth at the mouth if he heard the phrase instant classic in response to what Kyle's saying there. Like, he was not having it. He would stop what he was doing and he would scream at somebody if they said instant classic in his face, and give a similar argument, but angrier and with more like vein here about it.
But there are pieces of art that the instant you see it, read it, hear it, whatever it is, that you just know this is different level. Like, it doesn't matter what the rest of it is after that. Fort Lost, episode 1, different level than anything that was before. Didn't matter what happened at the end of it. That start is transformative, as far as art goes, and the same can happen for books.
And you know what? And I don't know if Tori feels the same, but I'd give my left arm to write a book like that made that impact, like right off the gate, to write a first book, and it's like, you are the man or the woman, like you have done it. So
and that's one thing, like I am not on the train that the whole experience of a series is ruined by the way it ends up. For example, with Tori, even if she doesn't like Iron Gold and Dark Age, that I don't know how that would change her feeling about the first 3 books. You know what I mean? This happened a lot with the Books of Babel. A bunch of people, and not a bunch, but several high-profile people who have more subs than I do, didn't like it. And all of a sudden, people are like, oh, well, the 4th book's not good. Well, I'm not going to read any of them. Josiah Bancroft's prose is even if you don't like the story and you think Senlin's a milquetoast, feckless, gormless guy, I agree with you, but I love the way Bancroft writes. And even if I didn't like the 4th book is my least favorite, but it didn't change how much I love. And I think with Kyle too, and I give Kyle a hard time because he didn't like the 4th book, but Kyle has never said that the first 3 books aren't good anymore because of the 4th book. So I do give Kyle props for that. And so there's a lot of the Shadow Campaign series, brilliant flintlock fantasy, and he just flubs. I have never seen an ending more flubbed. But it doesn't change the fact how good Thousand Names is in a freaking military flintlock fantasy book. It's so good. Just because book 5 isn't the best doesn't mean book 1 wasn't good. Now, there are some people for whom that ruins it. It kind of taints the whole previous experience. I am not one of those. So.
But it's a good gateway. If I've never read Flintlock Fantasy, and the first Flintlock Fantasy is Thousand Names, which Alan recommends, and I'm reading that, I'm going, well, I'm aboard with Flintlock Fantasy. I don't care where the whole genre goes after that. This is a good example of this, and you have a barometer and a place to go with it, which is exactly what it's all about.
Kyle's always psychoanalyzing me. He's not here, but he's always doing it. I mean, that's right.
Well, and I will say too, as a character junkie, I think I've always said character means more to me than plot, always, forever, because there will be cool plot moments in books that I think about sometimes, but the characters are why I fall in love with series and they stay with me for so long. And that's why I think for example, A Song of Ice and Fire, the plot isn't finished yet, but those characters that are in the story have already done what they came to do. Like they already have had that kind of impact on the readers.
Yeah, you know what? Characters, you will forget individual plot points or things in a narrative of books, but you know,
Sandang Glocta, how a character made you feel.
Yeah, Sandang Glocta, you know, Alison Wonder, you will remember that character for the rest of your life. And I think if you're an author, I always say if you can write a character that sticks with people, that people remember, you will have success, right? You know, and I'm a very character-based reader, but yeah, like I think, you know, and for me, I know that's what I've always been aiming with, is to write. Yeah, he's a messed up guy, but I think if people remember something about my book, they remember author. They remember the main character. They may not remember other things, but they remember, I think, author and sticks out. And I think that's what most writers are aiming for. They want their main character or their auxiliary character, somebody in their book to transcend just remembering about, you know, well, this cool sword fight or this magic scene or, you know, so.
Yeah.
PL, where do I get your book? Amazon? Watch out.
Oh my gosh, buddy. Because I'll send you a copy. Yeah, man.
He's going to buy it, PL. He's going to buy it. You don't need to do it.
Send me a copy. You have to buy it.
PL,
I thought this would.
He's giving a seminar on. Oops, sorry. I gotta. My thing is blowing up.
You're back.
Oops. PL's giving a seminar on how not to be a self-published author, stopping people from buying your book. Like, don't.
for bloggers and people like friends who like those people, like I don't believe in giving books away for free, no, but I mean, you know, yeah, like yeah, but I'm honored. Thank you that you would.
I agree with Christopher.
I would appreciate it. I would appreciate it. Like if you're willing to send one, like I would super appreciate it.
And I thought this week was going to be a cheap week for me. I thought this was going to be a cheap week for me. Yes, you know, with a lot of booktubers on, you know, every week it's costing more in this history.
Welcome to my world.
I just would like to say, Christopher Warman in the chat, I just read seasons of, I think it's Albuquerque, right?
Yeah,
so
good.
Excellent.
So good.
Yeah, that was an SBFBO for semifinal. It's supposed to be a really good book. It's on my TBR, but when I get to it,
Alan, I actually think you'd really like it. We'll talk more about it.
It's literally sitting on my desk. If something has moved from the bookshelf to the desk or the table,
we're getting closer
there so that I can remember it. Like, because again, I can't remember to drink my milk that's going to fix my bones. So
you just have your priorities in the right place. Books come first.
So I have that because it's also Christopher Warman. It is short. Yes. And I'm like, I can fit that in.
And not only that, but it's split up. It's a short book split up into 4 sections.
Yes.
Which it's great. I breezed through it in like less than a day when I was less than a day and a half when I was at my.
But you could do that if you were reading Shogun. Like I can't read that.
I don't. See, I think you think I'm going to get through Shogun a lot faster than I actually am because it's a different style of read. It's going to take more mental like strength to keep track of everything.
So Shogun is a masterpiece. Like I'm reading it and I'm like, this is a freaking masterpiece. And just like with Game of Thrones, I had forgotten how much weird, sexy stuff there is in this book. I did not remember. I am so glad when you asked me a recommendation for your dad to read that I picked the other one and not Shogun.
When you had that conversation, was that yesterday or I can't remember. I remember sitting there and it's like, oh my gosh, thank you, Jesus. Yeah. I did not buy this book for my father and I to buddy read.
I had literally forgotten that all that stuff was in there, all of it, because I remember the political scheming. I remember like the Japanese lore and culture and like the fish out of water becoming a samurai and just like the amount of scheming in this freaking book is like it's next level. Sometimes there are turns of events in Shogun where I just like did this and was like, holy crap. Like, how did I not see that? And it's just so good. It's so good. I forgot about that other crap. Like I forgot about it, but I'm reading it now and I'm like, Whoops.
My mom and dad ask for TV series recommendations all the time for me, and I'm like, oh, what did I watch recently that was really good? And I know probably nobody here has seen it, but It's a Sin, which was a BBC drama about the AIDS period in the 80s, right? I was like, oh, transformative, amazing. I had completely blanked out that it's about the AIDS period in the 80s, and it is full of homosexual sex the whole way through. My mom and dad made it through about half an episode, and we're like, what did you recommend me? And I was like,
look at Christopher. Christopher also forgot that the sexy time stuff was in Shogun. Like, it's just so good that you should forget the weird.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah,
but it's excellent. I'm reading it and I'm like, the beginning is just like, oh, okay, but like after the first, especially after the first 100 pages, I'm like, why, like, kids, why don't you work on something? So I say, here, read Shogun, but I freaking teach them.
We need to be able to. There's so many good books that for a lot of people it's lost in time. But I'm old, but I love new books that are written by writers that are just starting to write now. I'm one of them, but I love reading classics, what people consider classics. And I love reading books that are written 34 years ago. And you know what? Some of those books are just timeless. And I go back to Jenny Wirtz again, that, she's an author that people are rediscovering because she's so good and she writes so well. But a lot of these books are written. She's a contemporary of George R. R. Martin. She was writing 23 years ago. She came out around the same time as him, and she's writing these big series, and
this is why I could never be like, hey, I would like to speak your books into a microphone, because like Philip is one thing. Philip is my buddy. Philip has never published a book before. I know his series is going to be good, but that's okay. Like, this is a contemporary of. I'm like, what? Like, she is here. This is me.
But Alan, I'm serious. Steve has met Jenny. Jenny, I consider a friend of mine. She's a wonderful person. I talk to her regularly. She is one of the most down to earth, open, accessible. You DM Jenny and say, hey, like you would become buddies. Like, it's not. She's just not like that.
People scare me.
What's that, Steve?
That's the box
Jenny sent me.
There you go. That's how she is. That's how she is.
She's incredible. She's so nice. I talk to her almost every day.
I swear, Alan,
she's awesome.
Well, yeah. I'm wanting to read something by her so that I can, like, I will feel more like, hey, I'm not out of nowhere. I'm not an opportunistic leech. Let me have something positive to say about your book, because then I can be, because all I need is to like anything about her book, and then I can be like.
Well, a lot of people start with the Empire series that she co-wrote with Raymond Feist, which is like an international.
I'm reading that this year.
Well, there you go. So then you can say tick.
I am so excited for you to read this, Alan, because it is all political intrigue, like all of it.
I love that stuff.
And a
Yeah, I like Alan. Her books are just she maximizes language to a degree that no other writer that you're going to read does. It is just, and I know for some people it's way too dense, but the beauty of the writing is. I would give my left arm to write like Jenny Wirtz.
Yeah,
I say that all the time. She's just political intrigue, like the court intrigue. Like, it's just So
I'm trying to clear out like my first quarter through March. I'm trying to finish stuff and I got freaking Shogun, like dummy, stupid Shogun. But after March, I don't have a ton planned other than like my read-alongs, which are 350 page 1 a month book. So I'm going to try to cram Mistwraith in there. I even bought a second copy because the current paperbacks. Why is everything bold? Why is everything bold? Like the whole text is bold. So I had to order one of the old ones, and now it looks like a normal paperback instead of like Guy Gavroquet's Tagana copy that I had that was also all bold and was missing like 12 pages, just blank.
What?
I had to say, Kai, do you have and Kai had like a different version of it. And so he had to send me copies of that page, and other people who had that same edition of Tagana were also missing those pages. So I just pinned them. I'm like, here's the pages where you're missing, guys, because apparently his publisher doesn't care.
And that's why Alan forgot about it in his top 10 books. You see, all of that story.
Yeah.
God, it was so good though. Like
That was
the way
excellent, yeah.
the way GGK writes, the way John Williams writes. I read freaking Stoner and Augustus this year. Not fantasy, but it's some of my favorite writing ever. And I'm just like, how can someone write this beautifully? Like, how is it possible to write this beautifully?
There are writers out there. Somebody put out. Who put out the prose tweet today? I can't even remember now. So many of them, and I listed a bunch of people that I'm sure probably some people have never read. Guy was one of them. Bajani was one of them. Sienna Frost, right?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Who is that? I've never even heard of that.
What?
Okay, you have to read Obsidian.
Awakening, yeah.
Awakening.
Yeah,
beautiful. I've literally never heard of any of the words you're saying.
Yeah, well, there you go. And that's Natanya Barron. I bet you never read her either.
No.
Yeah. You probably heard of Michael R. Fletcher. Great.
Don't be giving Alan more books. This is terrible.
I did read Michael R. Fletcher. Beyond Redemption was too gross for me.
That is such an amazing book. And I don't like that was dark.
Loved The World. I loved The World, and I thought the magic system was really cool. It was too gross. Like there was too much weird, sexy stuff that I couldn't do it. And it pained me to not finish it because I was enjoying like The World and the magic system. And if I'd have had time and I wasn't behind the curve, I would have pushed through. But I was just out of time, and I was like, I'm not really enjoying this yet, like enough.
You might really like Anna Smith-Mark. Her prose is outstanding. It's dark, but it's
Godblind. I have Godblind. Is that her?
No, that's Anna Stevens.
No, that's Anna Stevens. She writes Quarter Broken Knives.
Yes. It's incredible. So
wow.
You're listing too many people. Who is Sienna Frost?
Obsidian Awakening. You should see the illustrations in this book, Alan. You'll lose your mind. I mean, she is just phenomenal.
500 pages.
Don't worry about the page count.
No.
Don't worry about the page count.
That's the only thing I'm worried about, PL. No, 500 pages is fine. That's fine. Sold for the price of a pig. Trained in the most expensive male escort.
Wow.
He's a male escort. Hashim finds himself running from the hard-earned life of privilege when a woman decides to die in his room. No.
I'm telling you, man, it's an amazing book. Amazing.
I'm on the blurb on that on Amazon, so it's gotta be good.
Sold.
Yeah. I'm on Goodreads.
Yeah, as well. I think I'm on there too, and because that book is just phenomenal.
It's so good.
She is such a great writer. Yeah.
I really thought this was going to be a cheap week. Oh, for God.
But before you even think about my book, but just DM me, Alan, if you really actually want it. But get those.
I definitely do.
Yeah. If you're interested, just slide me a DM. Slide me a DM.
Do you have a question for Tori from Read by Kyle? Tori, what is an underrated author you think more people should know about?
I have such a big list. Oh man,
it's hard to just
I know.
There's so many, There's so many.
So he's kind of just starting, so I don't know that I'd necessarily say he's underrated because everybody that's reading him is like loving his book so far. But I'm going to shout out my friend Andrew Meredith again because this man like is on a world building level that I can't even comprehend. Like it's some of the most detailed world building I've seen since Malazan in a completely different tone. And like, it's just so fun to see how much he's like gone into his world and figured out everything. And it's just all over, and it's not info dumpy. That's the beautiful part about it. There's not like a single info dump in the entire book. And I'm like, how did you fit all this stuff in here without it being like, oh, and here's all the information, it's really impressive.
Yeah,
so that would be the one that I would throw out there.
That's another person that I've been talking to that now I want to, now it's like, oh, okay, here's these more books. Let's add.
Alan, you are going, I think that you are going to love this book. Like when
Don't
I was
tell me
reading
what
it,
I'm going to love.
I'm gonna.
Okay.
I was halfway through the book and I was like, who needs to read this book?
Hey, Jordan.
Hey, Jordan.
Peeps.
Hey, Jordan.
Wonderful guy. Jordan reads books. Amazing.
Okay, I won't say I think you're going to love it. I will say this was a book that I immediately thought of you while I was reading it.
But I told you, I'm going to talk to him about his Latin.
Oh, man.
Yeah, see, Thiago said the same thing.
Thiago doesn't read anything. Tori,
he's reading Deathless right now. Can confirm.
Oh.
How? How do you know that? Because he told you?
I have been chatting with him a lot. I know him very well. We're friends.
Because he told you he's reading it? Can't trust it.
Because we've been having conversations about the characters.
He watched someone's review. He watched someone's review and just parroting it back.
I doubt Thiago.
Thiago, do you appreciate I'm defending your honor right now?
There you go. I think he's the real deal. Diego's the real deal. He's a good guy. So I
don't know. I don't know about that. I don't know about Thiago. That's not true. Thiago actually found a pair of my shoes that they don't sell anymore. Yeah, Thiago found my shoes.
That's a good story.
Yeah.
Oh, now they're just trash to go down by 80%.
I just think Thiago's next book should be The Finder. You know, as the author title after this story.
I was defending it, Mike. I was talking about how good Song of Ice and Fire was.
Song of Ice and Fire is the bomb. I will never. It is just George R. R. Martin is the to this day, you know, the biggest compliment I've ever gotten in my mind is comparing my series to Song of Ice. That still is like
a wrap on them.
I'm back.
He's
Yay!
back.
I had to go do another live show because I double booked on accident.
Chip's gone.
I made a mad. Don't worry, I made an ass of myself over there too.
No, the thing about this Song of Ice and
Mike
Fire
was just chirping, yes. So
yeah, you can argue about how much you like it, but I don't think you can argue that it's a brilliant piece of writing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, it's that kind of thing of enjoyment.
I mean, I know some people that don't like his writing style, but I mean, I like it. I like less in 4 and 5 how much we concentrate on the food that they eat and the bathroom they use, because I distinctly remember a paucity of food and bathroom in the first 3. I mean, I know there's a big bathroom scene. I do. And it's one of my favorite ending lines of a chapter of all time. I have not I still remember it. How do I still remember a line in a book that I read a decade ago, 11 years ago?
It's that impactful. And I gotta say about the House of Dragon series redeeming, you know, what happened at the end of
I just said I liked it, Kyle. Pay attention.
I gotta give House of Dragon a big shout out because I'm loving it, man. And there is, you know, when you have series that have scenes that just will never leave you. I still, you know, in season 6 of Game of Thrones, when Jon is facing down the Bolton army and he's, you know, that scene will always stick with me, right? When he's beating Ramsay, you know, that scene will stick with me. Well, when Damien drags Cranfear out of that cave, and he it's those scenes that stick with you. And one thing that you got to say about GRM consulting on all these shows, I think it's paying dividends, man, because they're looking good. They're looking good. So.
The one thing I remember from the show was pigeon pie. I had to look up that pigeon pie was an actual thing, and I've never been the same since.
The Romans ate peacock. True story.
I mean, sure.
The French eat snails, you know.
Escargot, yes. Yeah.
Fun fact. I'm about to give you
Mike, I'm with you, buddy. I'm with you. HOD has the potential to be better than GOT if they can sustain. It's early. I agree, but yes, I totally agree.
The bit that I really like about House of Dragon is that they know that there's a level of fandom that goes the extra length, and they put the small details in. The small details matter, exactly. and that kind of stuff blows my mind.
I mean, by the end of the original show, they didn't care. There was Dasani water bottles in scene. Yeah. People were still wearing their wristwatches.
Yeah, there's a truck. You know, the truck shows up in the battle. You know,
you can see airplanes flying overhead.
Yeah.
Like nobody cared.
The funny thing about that, Andrew, is obviously it's made in Belfast, which is where I'm from. I see relations in that show, so it already is broken for me. You know, you see people as extras, and you're like, "Oh, there's my brother-in-law." And,
Christina.
But they have this. They have the source material. They're sticking to it. The book is written, at least Fire and Blood for the first part, which is what everything's based on. So there's a big chance for success there. I'm telling you, they and GRM is intimately involved with the whole thing. So I think
would just say Germ.
Germ. Imagine being that famous though.
Germ.
Imagine that famous that your initials are an acronym. Like that's cool.
Yeah, you've made it when you're JRRR or GRRM or you've made it when
Well, the same thing with SPFBO. I just say Spiffbo.
Spiffbo. Yeah.
Maybe we'll get the Arbor. Andrew's Wizard Reed's been Arbor. Arbor made a video last week.
No, I'm just the Wiz.
The Wiz.
The Wiz. I'm Wizard or the Wiz, according to Tori.
Yeah, it's just because I know so many Andrews. I have to.
There are a gaggle of Andrews out there. There are a plethora of us.
Yeah, there's a lot of Andrews out there. But they're all good guys.
My middle name is James. Growing up, I knew 3 different Andrew Jameses.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, my mother would yell when I'd get in trouble because I got in trouble all the time.
Hey, it's Lena. Hey, Lena. We love Lena.
At a hen weekend and still checks this out. That's
Lena's amazing. She is incredible.
A hen weekend, that's like a long bachelorette party, right?
Yes. Okay.
I've never heard that term in my entire life.
A hen?
I literally thought that she had chickens in the backyard because there was an egg shortage. Literally.
A gaggle of Andrews.
It's true.
That's what I said. There's a gaggle of us.
A storm of Andrews.
There is a murder of Andrews out there.
Oh my goodness.
Clash of Andrews, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
You know what, Mike? I tried going by AJ, and by the time I tried changing what I went by, everybody already knew me as Andrew and refused to call me by what I requested. I got scoffed at. You're Andrew.
No, you are just Andrew.
There are 2 people in the entire world, in the history of the world, that have called me Al. They're I am Alan. I don't go by Al, but there are 2 high school friends that for some reason it doesn't bother me. I don't know why. It's my one friend just shortens everything. And so that's just what he does. And then the other one was like a girl, and we've been friends since like middle school. And I don't know why she called me Al either, but it didn't bother me. And anybody else tried, be like, "Hey Al," I'm like, "Stop it." And then worse is Jimmy, and I'm like, "Do not call me Jimmy," because my last name's Walker. So people always, anybody who watches old TV, they'd be like, "Hey Alan, Dynamite," and I'm like, "Stop, stop." I bet you haven't even seen an episode of that show. Stop. So
yeah, I remember when I was growing up, my my full name is Victoria, which I don't ever go by because it's totally me.
Yeah. Stop it, Tiago. Sorry.
So my best friend when I was growing up, her name was Elizabeth. So everywhere we went, we were the twins or the queens. Everybody was like, "Oh, it's the queens."
Oh yeah, Victoria and Elizabeth, eh?
Really?
Oh yeah. That's
yeah.
There are worse things, but it was just never heard that one before.
I have this terrible thing of students' names. I just shorten everybody down because it's I don't know, the way my brain processes it or whatever. And I always apologize first lesson and say, I am going to call you by some shortened version of your name.
Say your name right, Ron.
So there was a student name called Belle. I called her Ding Dong for 2 years. It was just
No.
I was sorry,
Sometimes I like my students' last names better, so I'll call them by their last name.
Yeah. That's a teacher thing.
I get that.
That's a teacher thing.
Yeah. One of my best friends, his real name is Michael, but we all call him Grunky because it's a way better last name. He looks like a
His
Grunky.
last name
That's
is
another
Grunky?
thing. At school, no one calls me Alan. Nobody. It's weird. I go by Walker at school. Everyone calls me Like, and I don't call any teachers by their first name either. So my buddy, my really good friend, he's the engineering teacher, teaches next door and has since I started teaching 10 years ago. His name is Joseph Bell. I have always called him Bell. And so when him and his wife come over, and his wife will be talking to Christina and be like, yeah, and then me and Joey, we went out. I'm like, who's Joey? And she's like, it's Bell. I'm like, no, that's Bell. Not, she's like, I'm Bell too. I'm like, no, you're Rihanna. He's Bell. So it's weird. Like, it's so freaky to me. Alan is, when I hear Alan, it's like, okay, this is my personal life. Like it's not related to my job at all. And then Walker is completely like my professional life. Like Walker is teachery, and then Alan is booktube real life friends, with the exception of my buddy Bell, who never calls me Alan. When he does, I'm like, stop, it's Walker, stop.
Tiago's name's not that hard to say. Tiago Abdallah.
It's not that hard.
Yeah, Tiago.
Just get the CH at the start here.
Thiago.
Tiago.
Abdullah.
It's Chiago. It's Chiago.
It's Thiago Abracadabra.
In my case, Christopher's what I get called when I've done something wrong. You know, it's Christopher.
I like to call Tiago Mr. Mustache.
No, Thiago Abdullah.
Yeah, I always called him. I was calling him Thiago because that's how we pronounce it. But it's Chiago.
Yeah,
so
Chiago.
when I asked him, I said, "Am I pronouncing it correctly?" And he said, He was really nice about it, but Chiago. So I felt like an idiot, but he's really polite about it. So
yeah, I asked him before I talked about his book in a video. So I'm like, hey, how do I pronounce your name? I wish I'd have done that for Baptiste Paulson Wu. Instead of, I'm like, and I'm
some of us do our research, Alan.
Some of us.
In my interview, it is correct.
Okay, look, how am I supposed to know that literally the P is silent? Freaking plosives aren't silent. Like, you can't silence stops. So his name is, it's Baptiste. No. Baptiste. Pinson. No. Paul Saul, and then Wu.
It's French.
It's French, Alan. It's a different
I didn't
language.
know I was going to get blitz. I'm sorry. Wu is not a French last name. Sorry.
You were complaining about the first two.
I know, but his last name was Wu, so I assumed it might be pronounced not. Look, I got blitzkrieged. I got ambushed by the French. Like, just like the British in the Revolution.
Does anybody else watch that? There's this guy who does shorts, and it's the French and English language comparisons. Am I the only one who watches this guy?
You need to throw a link in there, Andre.
I'll have to look for it.
This is a reason for me to stay up at 5 this morning.
Is it 5 a.m. where you're at?
Well, no, it's only 20 to 3. But when you put the link in, it will be 5. Because I'll just watch continuously. It'll just be one of those things. Yeah. It could be cat videos. This will be an improvement. Let's. You know.
Blitzkrieged by the French. Freaking Lafayette in the background.
All right, guys. So oh, pause. Pause.
Andrew's watching his own YouTube videos.
He's got to get to 5K by the end of the year, though. There's a method.
Yeah.
Yep.
I believe it. I believe it.
The time
the thing
flies
is,
by.
Like, momentum is everything. Like, getting momentum and you know, you can steadily, like, as long as you're posting, like, if you post regularly, you'll trickle in subs, like, just because. I don't know how to actually punch it up. I mean, maybe read something anybody's heard of that might help me. Yeah. Like, instead of KJ Parker, which no one cares about except me.
No.
But I love it so much. I love it so much. They're so boring. Nothing happens. But the way he writes and the exploration of how awful regular human beings are, and then he, you know, focuses on something like the logistics of war or the banking system or
enough people to build a hockey team.
Yeah, well, the in and outs of fencing, that bothers you way more than it has.
It really does.
Oh my God! There's 450 pages of brilliant writing and intrigue in this book. They say the word hockey one time, and Andrew's like -5 stars.
I gave it 4 stars.
Really, 9 though.
Anyway,
I have noticed that once you hit 1,000, that things kind of change for the channel. I have noticed that. Like after 1,000, it seems like it's a lot easier. That I don't know what it is, but
my first 1,000 was the hardest, and I owe Jesse May everything. I had 160 subscribers, but I was active in her Discord, and she shouted me out. And overnight, I doubled. I went to like 320, and then from there, it was pretty steady growth. But those first 160 subscribers were just like, please watch what I'm doing, please. And
or
so that was,
maybe I'm just honest, Kyle, and I like to read good books.
Andrew, I heard you 2 weeks ago say that Game of Thrones was mid. I
was 30% in, and I gave it 4 stars.
With mine own ears, I heard it.
Yes, I'm sure you did. Are you going to say I hoisted myself upon my own petard?
I would never say something like that.
You liar!
I would never say hoisted upon your own petard.
You just did
it. I would think it, but I would never say it in context. But now
yes,
I will.
I do get
now
hung up on. That is
you.
one of my idiosyncrasies. Like there are certain things I cannot get past.
Andrew.
And I will dock a book for it.
Andrew,
what?
the stuff that you read that you don't dock the book for, you're
what?
I don't know. Like
give me your anger. Give me your fury.
I'm not angry. I'm just disappointed.
Oh, that's good. That's good. I thrive off of your disappointment.
No, I just have no idea.
The more disappointed you get, I lose gray hair and you gain gray hair.
Why are you screaming at me? Have I ever screamed?
Energetic.
I have never screamed in a live stream.
Never.
Not once. And you are shouting at me.
Oh,
why are you shouting?
So now you're a liar too.
Look.
Isn't BookTube awesome?
Look, Kyle will tell you he's going to read a book with you and then get halfway through and be like, I had to know what the rest of it was. And
Kyle puts things on 3 speed and then says he read it and that it was the most amazing thing ever while he missed 70% of the detail.
Kyle, Andrew, is that true what Kyle said? That was funny. But Kyle does.
No, that's not true.
Kyle does get to halfway through and then just leave you behind.
I'm a little nervous now. I have a buddy read with him in February.
With Kyle, do not think that he
have a buddy read with Kyle.
He will finish it before you do, long before.
Maybe I just will start ery and not tell him.
That's what you have to do.
The only way you're going to beat Kyle is if you read it and then lie to him about it.
That's true.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I know Steve's trying to wrap this up. I'm sorry, we can keep talking forever, but I know Steve's trying to wrap this up. So sorry, Steve. Apologies.
No, keep going. I'm enjoying it.
Please look that Kyle waited for Bookborn and Malazan. Note how many subscribers Bookborn has.
I was just going to say that.
Oh man.
Plus, I feel like if there's anybody that like you would be polite and wait for the buddy read, it would be Hillary.
Everyone waits for Bookborn. Like freaking, I've been asking Bookborn. I'm like, Bookborn. Like I said, Hillary. Like I need you to instruct me because I'm a rustic pleb who doesn't know how to like interact with the populace. You, on the other hand, will be moderating your own panel because you have the new house up on the Palatine with your elite aristocratic friends. Tell me, is it proper behavior to drool on camera? Because I just don't know.
Yeah, she's definitely royalty. She's definitely BookTube.
Oh, I know. I know. She's like, what are you talking about? I'm a pleb. I'm like, you were in Hawaii last week, Bookborn.
But that's how the Argyles roll, man. They just roll. They're how rollers, man.
I love Zach and Hillary. They are so.
They're such great people. They're some of the kindest, sweetest people.
They really are.
They're perfect. That's the problem. They're like, they're good looking. They're nice people. Like
they're really nice. But I love giving Hillary a hard time. It is one of my favorite pastimes is calling her out for her new aristocratic, like, patrician ways while I sit here. And she's like, would you like to like read this thing? I'm like, oh, like, can I? You sure it won't like draw subscribers away like by being like associated with me? She's like, shut up. I'm like, okay.
So, Alan, I know you'll be in Rome in March, so you won't be attending the conference in Orlando. But PL, you going to that one?
If he drinks milk.
No, and it was funny. I was talking to AP, and he's going, and I know that, as you know, Steve, that AP, for sure, Steven Erickson, probably Philip, all those guys. Janny goes to like they all. Yeah, so I have to get there 1 year. I'm going to Worldcon Glasgow in 2024, Deb and I. So that's going to be big. I don't know if I know Miles is going. Miles / Christian.
I'll be in Florida in April.
I'll go to that PL. I'll go to.
I'll see you there, buddy. Drinks on first round on me.
I'm on promise for Bristol this year, and I think we'll make Glasgow happen in 2020.
First round on me, baby.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well,
sure.
I will. I'm booking my travel tomorrow for Orlando, so I will be there. So
I envy you, buddy. I wish maybe the following year, like 2025. I can't get there.
I'm definitely going 2024. But I got to take 35 children to Italy and not lose one of them.
Good luck with that.
Look, we're going to gladiator school one morning. I don't have to bring all of them back. Like, the strong will survive. And I already told them. I already told which ones that I'm going to be fighting. I'm like, y'all can bring it. I'm going to be the superior one. I'm going to be Maximus, who is probably not real, but still.
So. Also, it's the initial stages, but just want to mention to anyone who's interested, we are planning. There's a Vegas book festival in October of 2023. So I think we're planning on going there. So whoever wants to go, I think we're going to plan some fun.
I'm sad that Andrew's going to be in Florida, but if it's not Orlando, like I live in really North Florida, so most of the time people go to Orlando and I can like get down there to see them. But Andrew's gonna be in like way South Florida, so it's gonna be like it's like 13
I'm going
hours
to Florida for my grandfather's 90th.
Yeah, obviously you're not going for a convention. Yeah. But I wish it was closer because I would come hang out.
I'll be in Orlando probably in the next couple of years. Take the kids to
If
Disney.
you are, let me know. Yeah. Sorry for it.
There will be World Fantasy Con in Kansas City in October too, and I'll be at that.
Ooh.
Andrew D. Meredith is trying to get me to go.
Yeah, and I'm also going to try and get you to go.
The world is getting smaller.
Good luck.
It's good.
Which one? Which Kansas City?
Missouri, I think.
Some great barbecue there. There's a great barbecue.
I haven't been to Missouri in a long time.
Yeah.
There's good barbecue? I'm going now.
Wonderful barbecue. Wonderful barbecue. Really good stuff. Yeah. Yeah, a couple of different festivals or conventions going on this year, so hope some.
Kyle, that's because we don't live where the world is trying to constantly kill us.
Seriously.
I was gonna say, like, I live in rural Minnesota. It's not that much different.
Whenever Sarah tells me about stories from Newfoundland, I'm like, what are you doing?
Seriously. And Tiago, you're correct. No student can beat me. I tanked the car. That's did. Right. I freaking threw up. I pulled aggro on that thing.
Your side of the car as well? Like, it wasn't even just a general car area. Your side of the car.
Reason he cracked his pelvis is because he hip checked it.
That's right. Look. I used roar to attack me. I stayed out of range of the heels, sadly.
Oh, wow.
The time always flies. We're coming up on 3 hours, and it seems like 40 minutes.
Holy crap! Really?
Yeah.
I'm so sorry, Steve. My wife said, "How long is this going to be?" I said, "Like an hour."
That's what I say.
Definitely, even she just says, "I'll see you whenever." She just knows now. So Mike, she's amazing. I'm lucky I have her.
I love Texas. My parents just moved back. They just moved here from Texas. They were in Austin and Dallas for forever. But I love Texas food.
Chicken fried steak is when I went to Texas, first time I went to Texas, chicken fried steak, I was like, wow, this exists. I gotta say, I was kind of in heaven there. I didn't know that existed. I could eat, but I could barely finish that thing. So
yeah, my state doesn't have anything cool. Our claim to fame is the pork tenderloin sandwich, where the bun is this big and the piece of meat is like pounded flat meat. So like you've got the tiny little bun and you've got this breaded piece of pork that's literally this big, and so you just eat the edges and then you've got a sandwich.
Oh, it still sounds pretty good. Well, Canada's got a lot of good stuff. Poutine for sure.
Poutine.
Oh, and maple syrup. Our maple syrup is probably the best in the world. So we make most of the world's maple syrup. Actually, we got a bunch of good food here. So
we have chili. We have lots of chili. Really good chili.
I love chili.
We have some in the fridge right now.
Potato bread. And brown lemonade.
Beer.
Well, we'll have lots of beer.
Beer and whiskey. That's
whiskey and Irish whiskey. Yeah, Irish whiskey. Definitely.
What else?
I like how PL's turned us around. I'm gonna buy him the first beer now. That's the bit where I see you.
Well, I think we'll be buying a few together, my friends. So
Kyle doesn't like poutine, so his Canadian card is revoked.
Oh, you don't like poutine?
Poutine's disgusting.
Poutine, you gotta have with like bacon. You can have with anything. It's just cheese, fries. How could you go wrong? Like,
if you have to add it, if you have to add it to stuff, then is it really that good?
No, you don't have. You can just have like just regular poutine. But I'm saying if you like things on top of that, like bacon, whatever, hamburger meat, you can add it to the poutine. It's just like, oh.
Yeah, Eric mentions have Nico take you to the Lucky Pig for the tenderloin next time in Iowa. I will be in Iowa in July. I'll be riding my bike across Iowa in July.
You should stop and see Nico. He's in Des Moines.
I'll wave while I'm pedaling.
What's up?
But yeah, it's time flies by. So before we sign off, Chris, where's the best place for people to find you?
I mean, you can find me on YouTube channel if there's a video there, but you can find me on Twitter, 7 o'clock shadow, or on the Page Tune forums.
Nice. Tori, where's the best place for people to find you and your books?
Well, me, I'm on Tori Talks. I think it's Tori Talks 2. I can't remember what number I had to put after it. On YouTube, and I'm on Twitter, and my website is vtechandnovels.com, which is also on all my YouTube videos. So that's the best place to find my book.
Nice. We'll have to have you come by and do a spoiler chat for your book.
Yeah, I got it. We want to hear that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Alan, where's the best place for people to find you? And
I'm usually on people's live streams hollering. So if you can't find me, just hang around. Click on a live stream, and I'm just complaining. The Library of Alexandria.
And PL, where's the best place to find you?
I'm usually beside you and Taylor on Page Chewing, but at PL Stewart Writes is the website. At PL Stewart Writes is Twitter, preferred social media handle, and www.pstewart.com about the books. 2 books out now: A Drowned Kingdom and Last of the Atlanteans, and Lord and King is dropping soon. Cover reveal coming at the end of the month-ish with the wonderful Blaze and Kona. Shout out Blaze from Under the Radar Books. So book 3 is coming out, and working hard on book 4. So it's coming. So.
And spoiler discussion for book 2 later this month, or February. Sorry.
February, yes. February.
I'm reading it in February. I might join for that.
Yeah, February 10th. Join if you get done by then.
I'll have it started like the start of the month, but yeah, sure.
It's gonna be a big group, so it's gonna be Miles / Christian Cameron, Janny Wirtz, Lana from Lullabies, Blaze and Kona on the Radar Books, Steve hosting, Taylor from In Between the Pages, Layla, Goshi, and potentially Andrew if he finishes it.
Yeah,
maybe.
So
we'll see.
Quite the crew. So.
It's an afternoon for Andrew. So, Andrew, where's the best place to find you for people looking for you?
I mean, I'm all over the place. I'm starting to do more live streams and cause chaos and hurt people's feelings. I'm trying to model my life after Alan. Hop on live streams, holler as loud as you possibly can, make some friends.
Andrew, you're not curmudgeonly enough yet.
No, I'm not. I'm working on it. You got a little whiskey in me. We'll see what happens.
You gotta be like you're not. You're too cheerful, which is good. Like, don't be grouchy like me. I just shake my fist at teenagers all day doing this.
But you can find me at Andrew's Wizardly Reads on YouTube, Wizardly Duo Discord. Great place to chat with me if you want to talk. You can always DM me on Twitter. I usually respond almost always, unless you're being a weirdo.
Send nudes.
And same on Instagram.
Get him to 5K. Get him to 5K subs. Get him to 5K subs.
Yeah, 5K subs.
Get him to 5K subs.
He'll be there in a few months, I'm sure. Yeah, it won't take very long.
For sure.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks everyone for hanging out for the chat. I'm trying to keep up. You all are killing it in the chat tonight, so
I'm sorry it was so long.
Sorry, chat people. You guys put some awesome stuff up there.
No,
I
love it.
Bad.
Love it.
Like
I'm sorry I had to dip so much.
You could have cut out 53 minutes if I wouldn't have complained about stuff.
Then it wouldn't be as fun though. That's the thing.
Yeah, it would be as fun.
Yeah.
I don't know why people like to. I don't know why.
Yes, Kyle, I tell you off with a smile.
Yeah, see, cheerfully, I tell Kyle off with furrowed brow. Yes.
So thanks everyone. We'll see everyone very soon. So thanks
Sounds good.
for watching.
Peace out. Take care, guys. Have a good night.